Ladies and gentlemen, we are so busy. I literally just slid into the chair here. I was busy in there in the other office watching a 2-minute excerpt of the Obama phone lady from the show yesterday. You can't go to Infowars.com. We're rebooting the site right now, but it is linked on DrudgeReport.com. Halfway down the right-hand side, nice little excerpt of the Obama phone lady here in town with us yesterday. We need to go through all the interviews that she did and kind of boil it down because the average person can't watch an hour and a half of it. I'm glad somebody on YouTube got a clip out. We need to get the clips from her on the TV show last night because she was so nervous in here in studio with us yesterday. She was so incredibly nervous that she it was kind of subdued. But when she got on the TV show, she really talked about a lot of important issues, and we played the clips of Obama lying to folks, so that certainly woke her up. It is an example of what we can do for others. Okay, here's the deal. The news that we've got is so incredible that words really can't even describe how serious our situation is right now. But I will do the best job I can when we come back from break and kind of officially kick off the broadcast today to go over all of this. This is so amazing when I'm looking at Joe Biden, White House, eyeing 19 executive actions on guns. Politico. CBS News, New York Assembly Speaker Silver, we are going to ban assault weapons, period. And the governor said, first they make you come in and register them, then they'll order them handed in. And that is what the bill says. It's now passed the Senate in the New York legislature and is going to the full House. So we are in deep trouble, ladies and gentlemen. By decree of the king, there are some steps that we can take that don't require legislation. That's a video clip of Obama in his press conference yesterday. Rahm Emanuel, we played this clip yesterday, says take American people out of the Second Amendment debate. We have that's going to be coming up. I'm going to play all these clips coming up in the next segment. And New York's also preparing to put gun owners in mental hospitals. I mean, you just can't make up the magnitude of this takeover. All over the country, governors, legislatures, they're all declaring war on the Second Amendment. New York Senate passes draconian gun bill. We've got some good news, though. Sheriffs all over the U.S. are going public, and we have one particular video we're going to play coming up. Sheriff says teachers should be armed. Second Amendment shall not be infringed. And Aaron Dykes' video report is up on our YouTube channel and at prisonplanet.tv. That's why we have those auxiliary sites so that when InfoWars is down, people are able to get there. Rand Paul slams King Obama over executive order. And there's also talk in the Congress of impeachment against Obama. In fact, guys, will you go to the search engine and type in impeachment? Because I saw several articles this morning that I forgot to print out or send to you, and I want to be able to show those news articles that there's multiple people in Congress now talking about impeachment, and that is the only way. I mean, that should have happened when Obama did Fast and Furious, or when they said that our military was under NATO command and Congress should sit down and shut up. GOP congressman threatens impeachment if Obama uses executive action for gun control. That is a report there that we're going to be going over as well today. That is just some of what we're going to be breaking down. But this is it. This is the big enchilada. And I hope that everybody realizes that this is the time to put up or shut up and decide which side of the republic that we are on. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the times that try men's souls. It's times that we all have to have a gut check and get right with God. Everything that we have unfortunately predicted these globalists would do is now unfolding. And soon the gun confiscation will be in the present. It's in the near future right now. And then soon we will be in the aftermath of whatever comes out of this. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the corporate media in collusion with the politicians and their globalist owners are openly saying in the news, oh, the president is allowed to take guns by executive order. Oh, the president is allowed to shut down gun shows by executive order. Oh, the president is allowed to order you to turn your semi-autos in. And they are passing or are in the process of passing outright gun confiscation in multiple states right now. We're going to be going over all of it. Now, if you go to drudgereport.com, you see the big headline up there, Congressman threatens Obama with impeachment if he tries to use executive action to restrict the Second Amendment. And if you click on that report, it's from the Daily Caller. We have our own reports obviously predicting this the last few months because the gun control group said, don't worry, once he gets reelected, we're going to use executive action. And people are like, oh, Alex, you know, don't fearmonger. That's unconstitutional. He won't do that. Texas Republican Representative Steve Stockman, who, you notice Larry Prattis pointed out would be our champion and had told him privately he would do this, threatened Monday afternoon that he would file articles of impeachment. Let's get it going. Let's go. Against President Barack Obama if he institutes gun control measures with an executive order. Stockman warned that such executive orders will be unconstitutional and infringe on our constitutionally protected right to keep and bear arms. And he went on to say that I will seek to thwart this action by any means necessary, including but not limited to eliminating funding for implementation, defunding the White House, and even filing articles of impeachment. Stockman said in a statement, boy, he didn't want to get on the airplanes anytime soon. We need more people to come out and support him now, like Rand Paul. Now, not later. In fact, this is late they're doing this. This should have been done a long time ago. At his press conference Monday, Obama floated the possibility of using executive action to enact policies aimed at reducing gun violence. He didn't float it. Look, you see this magazine? This was published in late November, and it says, "This man wants your guns." December issue of Enforce magazine. And in the article, go read it. We sent out an e-version of it to everybody. We have 10 predictions for 2013, and they would be coming for our guns by Mike Adams. In fact, the prediction in here is that they would use executive action to do it. Boom, that happened. And we've got the article. Obama wants your guns and the rest of your freedoms. And we go on to say they will use executive action to get our guns. Why? Because they said they would do that, okay? Now, here we are. And you know, some of the more timid mainline conservatives are like, how dare you get in a redcoat's face and say, look, it's going to cause a civil war if you do this. It's not that we want one of these civil wars. It's that they have set up Homeland Security and put it in a posture where they say gun owners, conservatives, libertarians, returning veterans are the enemy. And they've got the state police all over the United States training for gun confiscation. The new Army manuals that we've listed and shown over 100 times here, they talk about gun confiscation in U.S. cities. This is now happening. This is now unfolding. This isn't a game. This isn't a joke. This isn't a drill. This is the real deal. In fact, as soon as Infowars.com is back up, we're rebooting it and doing some scans of the site. As soon as it's back up, I'm going to have Kurt Nimmo, Paul Watson. I'm going to have all of them. Because I called Paul Watson about 7 this morning, even before I saw the Daily Caller, and I said, we need to do a report on this congressman saying impeachment. And I said, impeachment is the way to go. And I said, now, we've got to get on the offensive. And we've got them on Fast and Furious, lying. The Republicans could gut the Democratic Party right now for all the stuff they've done. They don't want to because they're bought and paid for at the top by the same people. Boehner and all the rest of them. They're traitors. They're Benedict Arnolds. 3 hearings last year where they told Congress NATO is now over the military and tells the president what to do. We don't come to Congress. Boom. Instant impeachment. Obama ordering the Department of Energy to shut down coal power plants outside of law, massively increasing our power prices outside of congressional law. Boom, impeachable right there. And so I want Paul Watson, and I want Kurt Nimmo, and I want Adon Salazar, and I want Steve Watson, and I want all the rest of our writers, and everybody else out there should be beating the drum for all-out impeachment. And we're going to impeach Obama publicly. Hold on, Watson. Listen, remember this morning I called you and I said the way to go is to go after him and call for impeachment for all the stuff they've done. We need to put out our own articles of impeachment And I'm going to talk about the articles of impeachment on air in the next hour. Okay, and you can go check everything I say historically and pull it up. There's at least 10 reasons. People always like the number 10. 10 reasons to impeach Obama, that we must impeach Obama now. Okay, we've got to get on the offense, and we've got to get behind this Texas congressman and others, okay? Because it's just all out. And by the way, while InfoWars is down, you can go to prisonplanet.com. And again, we're trying to upgrade and revamp the site so they can handle the increased traffic. We're getting like 3 times the traffic we used to the last week and a half. And it's just sustained. And the ad servers just can't handle it, so I'm suspending outside ads. So we'll just have our own house ads up there just to get the info out. So they're busy reloading the site right now and everything else. And I'm just telling the listeners that right now. PrisonPlanet.com is the backup auxiliary. Be sure and go there. And Paul, we just need to go through also. You and Steve are always good at ferreting out old articles. How many articles did we write the last year saying he would become a dictator, he would use executive orders, and we have to impeach now? We need to also flashback so people understand, not, hey, look, we're smart. Hey, look, we know what we're talking about. Better listen to us, okay? So have somebody do a report on that, okay? All right, God bless you, my friend. Thank you. All right, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I guess InfoWars is back up now? That was Prison Planet? Okay. InfoWars should be back up soon. New York State Senator, gun bill passed in middle of the night, turns law-abiding citizens into criminals. That's how mafia does it. New York Senate passes tough gun control law. Poll, most Americans support new gun control measures after Newtown massacre. By the way, this is how they play it. The Washington Post puts out some fraudulent poll. Most polls show the majority of people are pro-Second Amendment all the way. And it doesn't matter. If 51% say they want to put me in chains and make me pull a plow, I don't have to do it under natural law. If 51% say I got to turn my guns in, I don't have to. If 51% say they support Obama becoming a dictator, it's not just my right, it's my duty to resist. Do you understand the globalists have installed dictators over multiple European countries? Do you understand we're going headlong into tyranny? Look at this, Politico. Joe Biden, White House eyeing 19 executive actions on guns. Iowa lawmaker calls for retroactive gun ban, confiscation of semi-automatic weapons. New York Assembly Speaker Silver, we are going to ban assault weapons. Boom, going to ban them, make you turn them in. And see, that's what the bill that's passed the Senate in New York says. Just what Cuomo said 2 weeks ago in the New York Times. People are like, this can't be true. I mean, he's on the radio saying it. The New York Times wrote about it. We wrote a story about it, and people couldn't believe it. They wouldn't even follow the links to find out it was true. Because you can't believe it's actually coming to this. Yes, they're coming. They're coming. They're coming for us. They want to get a shooting war started. That's why I went on CNN and said, don't start this. Because people need to know where this is going. People need a heads up, ladies and gentlemen. Let's play Rand Paul on gun control. And again, it's not gun control, folks. It's victim disarmament. It's enslavement. We need to stop using their terms. Here's Rand Paul saying King Obama. And Rand Paul...
I'm against having a king. I think having a monarch is what we fought the American Revolution over. And someone who wants to bypass the Constitution, bypass Congress, that's someone who wants to act like a king or a monarch. I've been opposed to executive orders, even with Republican president, but one that wants to infringe on the Second Amendment, we will fight tooth and nail, and I promise you there'll be no rock left unturned as far as trying to stop him from usurping the Constitution, running roughshod over Congress, and you will see one heck of a debate if he decides to try to do this.
Senator Paul spoke to us in our Jerusalem bureau. Look for more of his comments on the Middle East and Israel in the days ahead.
That's not strong enough, Rand. Okay, you need to do what the Texas Congressman Steve Stockman has done. Okay, you need to get aggressive right now, and we need to start not threatening impeachment. The president is saying he's going to sign 19 executive orders taking our guns. Okay? Now this is not a game. We've got to come out and say this is illegal. The dictator word, not the king word, the dictator. It's here. It's happening. Let's go out to break with Rand Paul. Here it is, one more time.
I'm against having a king. I think having a monarch is what we fought the American Revolution over, and someone who wants to bypass the Constitution, bypass Congress, that's someone who wants to act like a king or a monarch. I've been opposed to executive orders, even with Republicans.
That's good. We're going to go to break, but listen to me and listen good. Dictator. We are segueing into a dictatorship. People are like, well, wait, he got elected. Hitler got elected. If you get elected and then overthrow the checks and balances, it's called a dictator. The office is becoming a dictatorship. The executive, run by the globalist, we're under occupation. Okay, those aren't words. That's the truth. We're occupied.
Watch him become a god.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back live here. Yesterday, I was on air talking about what would Paul Revere do during this entire period of history. Mainline conservatives would call him a traitor, and if he rode down the street saying to arms, the redcoats are coming to confiscate our guns, the average neocon would step out with pleasure and shoot him from the horse. Guaranteed. And then salute the redcoats. And that's what some conservatives said about me. They said, you shouldn't yell, you shouldn't get upset. Really, our forebears killed people. When someone comes to usurp and enslave you, that's the response, or you become a slave. I'm just trying to peacefully fix things. I'm a wimp compared to Paul Revere. But then the super wimps call me bad. And here is Boston Magazine. AMC is developing a show called We Hate Paul Revere. Isn't that just cute? And it's all over TV and the culture, bad-mouthing the founders. And they've got 3 or 4 different TV shows now that have just come out airing. One's called Founding Fathers, where anybody who's a patriot's evil. And guess who they wage war against? Gun owners during gun confiscation. And the gun owners are all horrible scum. And the Army infiltrates them and takes them down in Texas. They've actuaried this out. They knew it would be Texas congressmen that resisted them, like Steve Stockman. They knew. And so they've got all these TV shows on ABC, NBC, all airing, where the bad guys are the gun-owning libertarians. They were all being developed last year. And that's why I said they're coming for the guns next year, because of that and hundreds of other data points. They pre-program us. They get us ready. This is brainwashing. AMC is not satisfied with Mad Men's foray into the 1960s. Is setting a new comedy in colonial Boston and titling it We Hate Paul Revere. And it's basically about 2 brothers who are not fans of industrialist and activist Paul Revere. And then the show, reportedly, from Deadline Hollywood, just makes the founders look bad. I mean, whoa, a bunch of TV shows demonizing the founders. This is what a foreign occupation force does. That isn't rhetoric, okay? And Obama's not becoming a king. He's becoming a dictator. And that's why the Republicans are going, you know what, we'll legalize the illegals. You know what, we will go for some gun control. You know what, we will raise taxes. You know what, we are going to go for Obamacare. Because they've been told, you sit down and you shut up and you get in line. We know about your insider trading. We know about your girlfriend. We know about your boyfriend. A mafia takeover is taking place. And I'm here going, hey, man, we're in trouble. I'm here having to do this, which is not fun, but it's my duty. And I will not be a slave. And then I get to watch all these armchair quarterbacks going, oh, man, you're going a little far. You know, don't raise your voice. Okay, fine, folks. They're going to take everything, okay? You got that? They're going to gut the country, open North American Union, toll roads on all the roads, doubling, tripling water prices, energy prices. They are going to rape us. They've said they're going to rape us. And as things get worse and worse, I was on Current TV with the Young Turks last night, and he's like, come on, all right, they secretly arrest us. They've got warrantless wiretapping. Yeah, they're setting up highway checkpoints. You're right, but still, do you need mental health? You shouldn't get upset about this. And I'm like, you know what? You're mentally ill. If I was in Nazi Germany in 1941 saying this is wrong, I would have been called insane. If I was in the Aztec kingdom 500 years ago, I would have been called insane for saying don't have human sacrifices. That's what I said to him. He just laughed at me, man. It's funny to these people. All this is happening. It's all happening. It's all going to get worse and worse. There's Army manuals on FEMA camps. There's Army manuals on gun confiscation. And people are so cowardly, they flip it around and go, it's not that bad. Real cowards lie to themselves and say something isn't happening, or it's okay. Yeah, all this is happening, but it's not that bad. And then I am mentally ill because I see straight, I know history, I'm concerned, and I've got enough courage to get up here and put my name, my honor, everything on the line. Folks, they're testing us right now. If we bend over, ladies and gentlemen, if we lay down, they are going to run right over the top of us. Again, a lot of people hear this show and they go, man, you're scaring me. Why are you trying to scare us? I don't think you're cowards. I mean, look, if you're in a parking lot and a guy comes up to you and another guy behind you and they go, we're going to beat the daylights out of you, might as well go ahead and fight. There's nowhere to run. We're cornered in an alley. I'm not going to lay down while they can kick me in the teeth. I mean, it just isn't happening. It's not an issue of courage. These are authoritarians who want to gut this country. They're not liberals. They're authoritarian monsters. And their minions will soon be saying, so they're arresting right-wingers. Big deal. Because they're now talking about that. Just getting rid of us all. Again, there are 4 different TV shows airing or about to air on broadcast TV and cable bad-mouthing the Founding Fathers. Situational comedies running them down. I Hate Paul Revere. Shows like Founding Fathers and others coming out where they admit in the Variety write-ups that gun owners during gun confiscation resist, and they are dealt with. And the average yuppie will sit there now and fantasize about being the SWAT teams hunting us down. And most of these shows are based, again, in Texas. The globalists know where their resistance is going to come from. Because here's the deal. I can't give in to these people. Okay, I've said I'm not turning my guns in. I am a political information person. I don't plan in the early stages of this, because I'm not going to give them what they want, armed resistance. You know, I'm not sitting there watching my back. If they pull up and take my guns after they're banned, that will be something I'll try to fight through the courts and politically. But they're not going to stop there. They're all over the news saying lock up gun owners and mental institutions. We're mentally ill because we don't want to give up the Bill of Rights. When I was on Al Gore's foreign-owned TV network, owned by the Arabs last night, he sold it, they were saying, do you need mental help? And I'm like, why? Because we have the NDAA and secret arrest and Army manuals training for gun confiscation and FEMA camps and all this stuff coming true? In fact, Bloomberg, here's one of the headlines, Bloomberg urged Obama to take executive action and to ban guns outside of Congress. He urged him to defy Congress. That's Bloomberg, the guy that wants to tell you what you can eat, where you can sleep, how big a house you can live in, how many painkillers hospitals can give out. He just has orders in New York. I order the hospitals not to distribute painkillers to people. I mean, it's just, I'm God. I tell you what to eat. I tell doctors what to do. It's called a dictator pig who swore he wouldn't run for re-election and then got the law changed he helped pass on term limits. I mean, it's just a fraud. A guy with armed guards, a gangster. There have been 50,000+ signatures signed in Mexico to the Mexican government calling for the U.S. citizens to have all our guns taken, like the poor Mexican people who've had total gun bans and the highest crime rate in the world, almost 60,000 dead the last 5 years. Just mercilessly under the control of mafia and mafia government. And our government's saying, oh, yes, the Mexicans want us to turn our guns in. We better do it. And we've got the British government, and we've got Piers Morgan, and the Russian TV, and the Chinese TV, all saying, take their guns. And the UN treaty coming up in March. They've got the whole world guns confiscated, and they've got to get us in line with global governance. And again, the impeachment must start now. For Obama, 3 times last year in a letter and 3 congressional committees saying NATO is over our military. And Congress said, no, wait, we fund the military. We direct all that. Then the president executes it, like the football coach. But he's given the playbook. agreed upon by the general manager. And they said, no, we're going to be under NATO command. Boom, impeach him for that. Obama needs to be impeached for Fast and Furious. They've all been caught perjuring themselves and lying. We have them doing press conferences before they even got caught shipping the guns in, talking about the Operation Gunwalker and Fast and Furious. People that said they never knew about it were doing press conferences on it when they were promoting it, when the public didn't know the full extent of it. Boom, perjury right there. Obama shutting down power plants so that his buddies in General Electric make bigger profits and increasing our power prices when Congress didn't pass his carbon tax legislation 3 years ago. He's still just doing it by executive fiat. We need to start the impeachment of Obama for directing the auto bailout to spend $20+ billion to ship General Motors, Volt, and Cadillac factories to Eastern Europe, China, and Brazil. Boom, impeach for that. Economic espionage against this country. Begin impeachment for his environmental departments and people involved in using shadow email systems throughout his administration. Start the impeachment hearings now, and start the impeachment hearings saying he can use executive orders to restrict our Second Amendment. And actively promoting that sedition and that treason against our republic. What more evidence do you need? And the executive power grabs just go on from there. The conflicts of interest. He needs to be impeached. Of course, Congress is involved in the treason as well, but it doesn't mean you can't have good members that voted against it on the NDAA to secretly arrest Americans. Or here's a big one, his secret order on cybersecurity, which then the EU and others bragged, oh, that gives him control of the internet. He's going to give the UN control of the internet. Congress being told 2 months ago, you can't see my secret order, my secret cyber order, when Congress has the power of the purse and the power over the agencies as a checks and balance. He said, I signed a secret order. And the impeachable offenses go on and on and on. But chief amongst them is Obama saying he's preparing to act with executive orders. Also, he had the ATF last year with a rule-making order gun shops when they sold more than 2 guns to report it to ATF as a suspicious transaction, to order a criminal investigation and to open that when it's already on record that you bought firearms through the instant check, and that's law. What they did is outside of law, extrajudicial. I mean, there's many other examples, and a constitutional lawyer has pointed this out. And by the way, I want to get Edwin Vieira on. I want to get Lou Rockwell back on. I want to get constitutional lawyer Fine back on to pick their brains and other examples. And we need to codify articles of impeachment. I want Paul Watson to take the points I just put together, write the article, I'll approve it during the broadcast later, slap my name on it, my John Hancock on it. And we'll put that out there. Just an example to people. Because we got to ride out like Paul Revere and at least point out the treason that's going on. I mean, are there any men left in this country? Is there anybody that cares about freedom left in this country? Oh, I got another one for you. Obama last year signed a directive, not an executive order, not a national security order, not a PDD, presidential decision directive, just a directive, just a letter to ICE saying this large swath of illegal aliens, do we forget this? This is why he's now saying he'll just take our guns, because he's gotten away with it. He comes out and he says, I'm going to sign this order saying we're just going to go ahead and legalize these illegal aliens' kids who weren't born here, but they're under 18, and so we're just going to legalize you. We're just going to say you're legal now. And now he's talking about an executive order just legalizing all the illegal aliens that are here and then letting them bring their families here. And then they're all going to be on welfare, and then they're all going to be able to go vote illegally. We all know that goes on all day long. Just they give them driver's license everywhere. You got a driver's license, you vote. And it's, hey, we already got 56,000 Mexicans. being reported, signing a petition. I mean, look at these headlines. Joe Biden, White House eyeing 19 executive actions on guns. They're eyeing executive actions, and they're saying we're going to lean on gun manufacturers, lean on the retailers. What did Chucky Schumer say? They've said their plan. They've gone and had public meetings. We saw Rahm Emanuel say the police are over who can have guns now. The public isn't part of that discussion now. I'm going to play that clip in a moment. Joe Biden, White House eyeing 19 executive actions on guns. Politico. Iowa lawmaker calls for retroactive gun ban, confiscation of semi-automatic weapons, door-to-door confiscation. Daily Times Herald out of Iowa. New York Assembly Speaker Silver, we are going to ban assault weapons, CBS News, and make you physically turn them in. Boom. You hearing this? Oh, I thought I was a fearmonger. By decree of the king, there are some steps we can take that don't require legislation. That's Obama. We're going to play that clip in a minute. Rahm Emanuel, quote, take American people out of Second Amendment debate. Let me keep going here. In New York, preparing to put gun owners in mental hospitals. New York Senate passes draconian gun bill. Sheriff says teachers should be armed. Second Amendment shall not be infringed. That's in Kentucky. Folks are standing, that sheriff starts crying a little bit. He goes, I'm ashamed the founding fathers were here. But he's freaking out because he realizes he's committed. He's drawn his line in the sand, and he gets sad, not because he's scared. He's realizing what's happened here. How much trouble we're in. All you people out there need to get your heads out of the sand, folks. They're going for this because they think you're weak. And it's what I told Piers Morgan. I said, there's going to be some of us aren't going along. Now, I'm not going to play into your hands. They come to me and take me out, folks. I'm not planning to resist. I want that on record because the minute I said I would resist them, they'll come kill me. And they don't care about the minions that come. I'm out in the open here. But this is the waters we've entered. This is it. We're entering DEFCON 1 for the Second Amendment, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know what DEFCON is, DEFCON, you better find out. Rand Paul slams King Obama over executive order threat. Report, Walmart forbids new ammunition orders. Mike Adams, oh war, thou son of hell, as America stands on the verge of domestic war, my heart sobs for histories. And history harshly learned. And then I've got my articles here in the stack. In fact, I had that in my stack where it's up on Infowars.com. It's now back up. Here it is. 54,000 Mexicans signed petition. That's out of Fox News for U.S. gun control and for us to have our guns taken. Oakland leaders have lost grip on violence. Everything's disintegrating. And a lot of people are just like, well, I'll just do what they want. I'll just turn them in. They're going to take everything, folks. They are already doubling power prices in many areas of the country, shutting down the power plants that are city and state owned, that are totally clean. So General Electric makes huge profits. They want to bankrupt you. They want you poor. This is like Stalin shutting off the food and not letting farmers produce their own food in Ukraine. Let's start going to these clips. Let's go to Rand Paul one more time saying King Obama. And then we'll go to Obama saying I can accomplish through executive order. Let's go to that.
I'm against having a king. I think having a monarch is what we fought the American Revolution over. And someone who wants to bypass the Constitution, bypass Congress, that's someone who wants to act like a king or a monarch.
All right, that's enough.
I've been opposed to executive order.
And he goes on to say, he'll do whatever he can in the law and Congress to fight him. No, impeach now. And by the way, people are like, why are they so arrogant? This is so illegal what they're doing. They're going to stage false flags and blame it on the patriots. You can bet your bottom dollar that they're going to blow stuff up and then play clips of people like myself saying 1776 will commence. And we've got to have people on the ground the minute stuff happens videotaping. That's one thing holding them back is when they did the underwear bombing thing, when they staged that. We had witnesses that were there and saw it, and later it came out in Congress that indeed it was a government operation. Oh, yeah, that came out. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to hit more schools. I have no doubt they were behind Sandy Hook. You can see it all, writing on the wall. All the evidence is there. Look it up for yourself. And this is their season. They're going for broke. And police and military better understand the plan is for us to kill each other. Okay, let's go to the next clip here. This is Obama in his press conference yesterday. And Biden's saying it's 19 orders he's planning. 19 things. This is a purge against gun owners. They want a war. That's why they're now saying he is Lincoln. I told you 4 years ago this was a plan. He is Lincoln. His face on Lincoln. He is Lincoln. He will crush us. He will show us. He will show us the federal power. Here is Lincoln right now.
My understanding is the Vice President's going to provide a range of steps that we can take to reduce gun violence. Some of them will require legislation. Some of them I can accomplish through executive action. And so I'll be reviewing those today. And as I said, I'll speak in more detail to what we're going to go ahead and propose later in the week. But I'm confident that there are some steps that we can take that don't require legislation and that are within my authority as president. And where you get a step that has the opportunity to reduce the possibility of gun violence.
No, that's enough. It all goes on. The article's up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com right now. He says he can have warrantless wiretapping without law of you because he's God. He says he can shut down our power plants without law. He's God. He can give waivers to his friends, not have to get Obamacare for their employees. He's God. He can say that, well, he's not God. The UN and NATO are God, and they say he can launch wars because he's a Peace Prize winner. The plan is to try to start a civil war and use Homeland Security that was set up day one to attack the states, the legislatures, and the people. And this is pre-Obama. The John Warner Defense Authorization Act of 2007, now 6 years ago, 5.5 years ago, states for insurrection by the states and legislatures. Obama was scripted for his role of Lincoln from the beginning. And now they admit it. He's going to be our Lincoln. But not Lincoln for a North versus South that you can debate. And Lincoln was a tyrant. You can't debate the fact that he arrested hundreds of newspaper editors, members of Congress, you name it. It was martial law by a dictator. He overturned Congress. This is a occupying dictator under a foreign corporate takeover. And they've already got countries like Spain, to a great extent. But the ones that are 100% are Italy and Greece, where they appoint the technocratic leaders, the former Goldman Sachs heads. And they're going to do it. And they want war with the American people. Let's go to one more clip here. This is Obama. I won't take your guns away. I won't take your guns.
When y'all go home and you're talking to your buddies and they say, he wants to take my gun away. You've heard it here. I'm on television, so everybody knows it. I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe in people's lawful right to bear arms. I will not take your shotgun away. I will not take your rifle away. I won't take your handgun away.
But they're now saying that they're going to order everyone under an executive order, that's what they're floating in the Washington Post, you name it, to come and get your lawfully already bought guns or guns your grandfather gave you when he died, some semi-auto from the 50s, and you're going to go in while gangsters, let me tell you, they're gangsters, I've been around them, are going to say, all right, hey, you're looking at me wrong. You got a problem? I'll arrest you right now. Line up. Get the serial number. Now get out of here, you American trash. That's how they talk to you. Get out of here. They're gangsters. They know they got to be in your face to keep you down.
And I started out of town, yeah.
And I saw Sheriff John Brown.
All of a sudden, I saw Sheriff John Brown aiming to shoot me down.
So I defended myself.
So I shot him down. And I said,
I shot the sheriff.
if I am guilty, I will pay. I shot the sheriff, but I say, I didn't shoot no deputy. I didn't shoot no deputy.
He's done in self-defense. Let's cue up Obama one more time. We'll play it in the second saying, I won't take your guns. Because it's now official. They've told the establishment, mouthpiece, Washington Post, where they've been announcing all their plans, White House to announce gun plans Wednesday, which they said they do before New Haven even happened, before Sandy Hook happened, before Aurora happened. President Obama will unveil a sweeping set of gun control proposals, victim disarmament, at midday Wednesday, high noon, including an assault weapons ban, and they're saying it's going to be a physical turn-in, universal background checks, and limits on the number of bullets magazines can hold, according to sources familiar with the plans. The announcement to be delivered by the White House is also expected to include a slate of up to 19 executive actions that the Obama administration can take on its own to attempt to limit gun violence. The White House has invited key lawmakers as well as gun control advocates to appear at Wednesday's policy rollout, according to 2 officials who have been invited to the event. Obama said at the news conference Monday that he would present his gun proposals later this week. A White House spokesman said Tuesday morning that he could not confirm the plans. And ladies and gentlemen, Bloomberg is out, there's video of it, running around saying, just defy Congress, take them. Man, I mean, whoa. The headline should read, Bloomberg calls for Obama to become open dictator. And I'll say this, and I've said it a million times, I will not bow to this. I am not going along with this. I may selfishly get my family out of the country. It just continues to degenerate this fast. But I am going to stay here and deal with this. And believe me, that's not some macho thing. I'm not happy about this. I'm really sad. And folks, you should be freaked out. If your preachers are telling you to go along with this, they're scum. Leave that church. If your local talk show host is going along with this, they're scum. Now's the time to say, no, 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 you shall not pass. You shall not pass this gate. You shall not do this. Folks, they're a bunch of lawless globalists that strip countries down ruthlessly. If they'll do this to us, they'll do anything. And they are. They're gutting everything. They've already taken $47 trillion from us. Offshore. They're bankrupting us. We're going into bondage. It's world government. You're like, but they already run everything. Why are they doing this? Because they want war. They want domination. They want control. They hate you. They hate real Americans. They know you're not going to turn your guns in. They want this to happen. They want a civil war. I just hope that when the history of this is written and these people end up losing, that we have like they supposedly had Nazi hunters. I hope these people are hunted down worldwide and brought to justice. No matter what happens to me, do not let them run to South America. Do not let them run to other countries. These people need to be held accountable. Nuremberg trials for all of them. Let's go out to break with Obama's pledge that he wasn't coming after any of your guns. Here it is.
When y'all go home and you're talking to your buddies and they say, he wants to take my gun away. You've heard it here. I'm on television, so everybody knows it. I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe in people's lawful right to bear arms. I will not take your shotgun away. I will not take your rifle away. I won't take your handgun away.
We'll be back. I have a stack of articles saying they're going to confiscate our guns. America is being completely overthrown. There's been a lot of attacks on us. Our health freedom, forced inoculations going on outside of law. The open borders, all of it. But now they're talking about executive orders to restrict our Second Amendment. There's an all-out call for Obama to basically be a dictator. It's very, very sad. I've had him scheduled for a few weeks. We're going to talk to him about 30, 40 minutes, and then we'll get back into how we need to move with articles of impeachment. And I wanted to get him on about what gluten does in the gut, because I'm trying to go gluten-free myself. And my wife's done it and had some amazing results. And I also wanted to get his take on the flu. I mean, they admit they never guess which flu vaccine, needs to be formulated to actually give you some protection from the flu, so it's a total hoax. And so it was such a popular interview we did about 6 months ago that I have twisted the arm of Theo Ratliff, the just now retired famous NBA star, back on with us. He's coming up the next segment, and Doc Wallach, to just talk about health news in general, but to also talk about the fact that the establishment knows that we've got mineral and vitamin deficiencies and trace element deficiencies. But out of the gates, Dr. Wallach, what is your take on the move to disarm the American people with executive orders? I mean, if they can take the guns, they're going to be able to take the supplements.
Well, exactly right. Basically, I don't think the American people are going to allow that to happen. I don't care what the Congress does. I deal a lot with farmers. I deal a lot with the average person. I'm out there giving 300 free lectures a year, Alex, all across this land. And what we find out is that absolutely the American public is not going to tolerate their weapons being taken away for self-defense. It's just not going to happen.
What are folks telling you out there across the country you talk to?
Well, people are digging holes and putting their weapons in. People are buying from each other as opposed to official areas. They're accumulating guns from, grandmas and grandpas who aren't going to use them. And they're actually accumulating weapons from private sales as opposed to sales from a Walmart or a Costco's or maybe a big sporting store, these big five stores and things like that sell weapons. So they're going to private sales.
Well, I tell you, these are the times that tries people's souls. Why do you think the system is so bold to actually try to go after our guns right now, Dr. Wallach?
Well, didn't Eric Holder say the crisis is a terrible thing to waste?
Yeah, they've all said things.
Yeah.
Rahm Emanuel, you name it.
And so basically what they're doing is they're using this tragic story of this new town, was it Connecticut? Where these kids were all shot. No,
yeah, Sandy Hook. It's outside there, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so basically they missed the whole point. Really, when you look back, and actually in the book Rare Earths Forbidden Cures, which you have in your bookstore, Rare Earths Forbidden Cures, there's a whole section on these types of mass murders. And basically they are caused by psychologists who don't want to give up their weekly check from talk therapy. They know, and there's actually laws in the cities and in the counties and in the states and federal government where a caregiver who is a psychologist or psychiatrist can, in fact, have somebody institutionalized if they feel they're of eminent danger to themselves or the community. But the psychologists and psychiatrists say, if I just put them on one more drug, I can keep them out of the institution because they give up their weekly check if they put them in an institution. And when you look at the records of these people who are managing these individuals who do the mass murder or serial killers, they've been working with them for a long time. It's not like it's any mystery that these people are dangerous. They
know exactly. You know what? I want to recap that and then obviously get Theo's take on this because it's such big news right now. And then we'll get into ADHD, you name it. I mean, they know vitamins and minerals are the answer. They know getting people off the dyes are the answer. And I'm going to talk about some of the incredible products as well from Longevity available at InfoWarsHealth.com. We're all about solutions on this broadcast. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Alex Jones. It is Tuesday, the 15th day of January, 2013. And if you just tuned in, the White House is talking about 19 executive orders to restrict the Second Amendment. Joe Biden headline, White House eyeing 19 executive actions on guns. Multiple Congress people now are coming out saying that more and more the executive branch is becoming a dictatorship or a king. New York Assembly Speaker says we are going to ban assault weapons. That's all semi-autos. Continuing here, just incredible news. Rahm Emanuel, we haven't played this clip again yet. We're going to play it later in the hour. He says, hey, the people don't have a right to even debate guns. The police will run things now. They'll decide. I mean, that's called dictatorship. That's the Chicago mob boss, Emanuel. That is just some of what's coming up. And in about 40 minutes, I'll play a special report by Aaron showing different sheriffs and police saying they're not going to be part of this. So this is a big, big deal. The articles are all up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. But I also wanted to talk about solutions here today. And a few weeks ago, it was one of the most popular interviews we've done on health. I wanted to get Theo Ratliff on the broadcast. He just retired. He was able to stay in the NBA 10 years more than he would have with Dr. Joel Wallach's research, and we promote all the products that they've developed at InfoWarsHealth.com. When you purchase them there, it also supports our transmission. So I've got Theo back on to talk about his experience just with minerals and vitamins with the proprietary systems that have been developed by Dr. Wallach. He's an American former professional basketball player who played last with the NBA Los Angeles Lakers, primarily a center. He was an excellent shot blocker who's led the league 3 times in blocks per game. And as of 2011, he's ranked 18th all-time in career blocks and 13th all-time for career blocks per game. Also a great rebounder. And, of course, Ratliff played basketball at Denapolis High School and later graduated from University of Wyoming. Again, he is one of the people that worked with Dr. Wallach and others to develop the product Rebound, the ultimate sports drink that I know my wife, who's a sports addict, absolutely swears by. I personally am a big Pollen Burst Plus guy and Beyond Tangy Tangerine. And again, all of them discounted. Occasionally we do infomercial here amongst the info at InfoWarsHealth.com. You can sign up there and get free shipping or become a distributor and get discounts at InfoWarsHealth.com. But the plugging out of the way, there's a cornucopia of things I wanted to get both these men on the broadcast about. And we'll get Theo to talk about his experiences and what's happened with him. But number one, Dr. Wallach. I mean, yesterday we posted an article with Sanjay Gupta. How do you pronounce his name? Gupta, yeah, the brain surgeon, on CNN saying almost all these shooters have been on psychotropics, Prozac-type drugs. And then the former head of Homeland Security came out, Governor Ridge, and said we should look at these drugs because in almost every case, these are involved. And, of course, for those that don't know who Dr. Wallach is, I'm not going to go over his entire giant bio, but he is a doctor of veterinary medicine that worked for the federal government and did all these autopsies and found out a lot of stuff was because of mineral deficiencies. He's also got several other doctor's degrees on top of it. For some reason, I don't have his bio here in front of me today, but it's lengthy, and it's up at InfoWarsHealth.com. There's other videos there where that's all introduced. But he joins us now. Dr. Wallach, also, a lot of these behavioral things, they admit, are the dyes in the processed foods. And the chemicals that are in the processed foods, like McNuggets, they admit have well, not basically, it is silicone like you have in breast implants. How do they get away with this? And as more and more kids drink Cokes all day and eat Snickers bars, and then they're bound. I mean, if I eat a Snickers bar and then crash an hour later, I want to beat somebody up. I mean, I'm in a horrible mood. If I eat a well-balanced meal, drink some Beyond Tangy Tangerine, I mean, I feel great. I mean, I can work a lot harder because of Beyond Tangy Tangerine and the essential fatty acids. The system knows this, but they don't. You were talking in the last segment about what psychiatrists and psychologists are doing, people that should be locked up. This woman, she had her guns through background checks, registration, draconian gun laws in Connecticut. None of these gun laws would have stopped this guy, but they're blaming gun owners now. What's happening on that front? Then we'll get Theo's take on that and then give his testimonial.
Sure. Well, certainly gun owners are not the fault here. Basically, it's the medical system. You've hit the nail on the head again, Alex. You're just a genius at this kind of stuff. But it's the medical system that has failed us terribly. There was a wonderful study that was done in Texas, in your state, where they looked at 2 counties, and I can get those counties for you, where they looked at the violent crime, they looked at domestic violence, they looked at suicides, in 2 adjoining counties. One of them had an enormous amount of minerals, particularly natural lithium, which is not a drug, it's really a trace mineral, in the water compared to the adjacent county that had none in the water. And, of course, it was like night and day. The county that had lots of natural lithium in the drinking water, the amount of domestic violence, violent crime, rapes, murders, suicides, all that kind of stuff was nearly like 10%. The neighboring county that didn't have any lithium in the drinking water. Well, the nice thing about the Healthy Start Pack or the Alex Pack has a significant amount of natural lithium in there. That's why you and I are such nice guys. And if everybody in America would take the 90 essential nutrients, they would avoid the need for all these terrible psychotropic drugs. The combination of bad food, psychotropic drugs, and nutritional deficiencies is an explosive mix. And the medical system has brought all this together for 2 reasons. Number one, there's insurance, which allows them to do whatever they want to do for the money. And then they're a protected monopoly. The medical system is the only monopoly in America. And so they have no competition. And so this is where I just really applaud you for bringing this stuff to the surface. Because without you, Alex, this is not going to get out there. It's a combination of bad food, psychotropic drugs, and nutritional deficiencies. We solve all that. There won't be any more of our military people coming back home and committing suicide and being involved in domestic violence. If we do all this, there won't be another mass murder. And actually, in the book Rare Forbidden Cures, there's several chapters, 4, 5, and 6, that deal with serial killers and mass murderers. And half of them firebomb churches by throwing Molotov cocktails in. They drive cars through malls and run over people. Half of them don't even use guns. Guns are not the problem. It's a basic trilogy, I would call it, of bad food, psychotropic drugs, and nutritional deficiencies. And you've hit the nail on the head.
Well, you know about the lead conspiracy, which they've proven. I'd love to say guns is what has made crime drop so much since the 70s and 80s, and that has been part of it. More guns means less crime in the general population.
That is correct.
But the lead was making people mad as a hatter, and they've got direct correlations of lead, lower IQ, more violent. So you get the lead out of everything, people start becoming less violent.
You're exactly right. Of course, toxic metals like lead and mercury, the medical system actually uses mercury as a treatment. And it's just really sort of backwards. And so this is where you're educating people on these subjects is just genius on your part, because if we educate America, the average American is a pretty commonsensical person, and they will find a way to survive. It's like that old song, that old country western song, Country Boy Will Survive, and people are going to have their guns. If you depend on the government taking away guns, they're not going to get all the guns away from the bad guys. I like the idea, and I spent almost 20 years in the military, Alex, and the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is have a good guy with a gun. And you point out again, when you have the ability to carry, you have a permit to carry a concealed weapon, everybody gets real nice. They tip their hat to the lazies, they open the doors, because you don't know who's carrying a gun. And so that's a good thing.
Now, I want to shift gears into another area. Again, we have Theo Ratliff here, a retired basketball player, just a star, just to get people the idea that minerals, vitamins, trace elements are more powerful than drugs. They're what we're actually designed to use, and that so much of the food we have is adulterated. Shifting gears, Theo, tell folks how you woke up to this, how you met Dr. Wallach, how it enabled you to stay in the NBA longer, and really how miraculous, I mean, this isn't talk, folks, this is true, that the proprietary blends developed by Dr. Wallach and Longevity were for you, sir.
Well, thanks, Alex, for having me on your show once again. Had a great time last time we had a chance to speak, and always great to be with the great Dr. Wallach and all his people over there at Longevity. Do a great job of just trying to keep people informed and keep people healthy. My situation was, I've been playing basketball all my life, and I got to the point where I had made it to the NBA, doing a great job, taking care of my body, doing all the necessary things, taking the drugs they give me, the supplement, different things, and had a stellar career. Got to the point where I got all the way to being an all-star. And as I became an all-star, I started breaking things just out of the blue. I broke my hand, had a knee fracture, had a hip fracture, and all these things was going on. And I tried to condition myself to be disciplined, no drinking alcohol, taking the right supplements, but was the wrong supplements, turned out. And just try to stay focused on my craft as far as being an NBA player and trying to be the best that I can be. And then it turns to, once I broke my hip, had to go into surgery, felt that my career was about to be over with because it was hard because I had a labrum tear in my hip and had congenital arthritis in my knees. So just constantly dealing with that and microfracture and different things. It was just thing after thing after thing. So I had the honor of, once I got here with the Hawks here in Atlanta, to meet with the great Mike Glenn, the Stinger, and the great and late Phil Oliver that introduced me to Dr. Wallach. And they spoke to me about the mineral deficiencies that athletes have and what I was going through. And the light bulb turned on in my head. It was like, wow, I've been doing all this stuff and I have the best doctors, and no one has ever told me about minerals and how minerals work within your body and athletes, and how we sweat out our minerals, not just salt, but all 90 nutrients that we put into our body. We sweat them out, and as you deplete them, your body starts to deteriorate. So you become a lot older as the more and more you play the game, and that's why you see a lot of people, once they retire, not walking with the canes, knees back, hip replacements, blase, go on and on. So with me being able to get with Phil, Dr. Wallach, and the Stinger, I got on the 90 nutrients, great program, built my body up, got back to my old self, led the league 3 years in a row after I came back, and shot blocked, was up for the Defensive Player of the Year two of those years, went on to have a stellar career, went on to go in and sign another $40 million contract. And, it was just a blessing, a blessing to basically receive what Dr. Wallach has prepared within longevity and the minerals, and also having an opportunity to formulate an energy drink, because I did so well. We formulated the Rebound FX energy drink so I could sustain my energy throughout the game when the guys in the fourth quarter are dwindling down and their energy is going away. I'm still at my highest level. And guys, up until this day, until I start playing, always ask, man, you out here 38 years old, how you still running out here with these 20-year-olds? And I tell them every time, I take my minerals, I take my supplements, my 90 nutrients every day, and I'm running on this rebound.
How many of the players have listened to you? Because I've noticed that, this is real. This really works. They've done studies with rats decades ago where they know if it's a super high level, full spectrum of vitamins, minerals, and trace elements, that the rats live twice as long. In some studies, worms have lived 4 to 5 times longer. Anybody can pull those studies up. I mean, the system knows this. And they know that all these different degenerative diseases are connected to this. They know that all these new diseases that are happening that they make up, the system. Dr. Wallach, how many doctors out there know this, or how many are just ignorant? Because I was reading about basketball players die so young. Doctors die so young. I guess a lot of them just actually don't know this.
Well, they have access to the information, Alex, and the problem is they get taught to use the insurance system. The insurance is probably the worst possible thing for the American public when it comes to health, because there's no law or ethical canon that requires the medical doctor to cure you if there's a cure available. And so they don't. And what they do is they figure out the best way to get every penny of your insurance money. If they, for instance, rheumatoid arthritis, if they cure you, they're going to make $300 in office calls. I can cure rheumatoid arthritis in 2 weeks. And that sounds bizarre, but it's an infection with antibiotics. You can kill the bug. It'll take 90 days to rebuild the damage from rheumatoid arthritis, and it's that simple. But a doctor doesn't have to do that, even though the cure is available by killing that bug, the mycoplasma bug that causes rheumatoid arthritis. They choose to do joint replacements. They use methotrexate, gold shot injections, and they run up a bill over 25 years of $750,000 versus $300,000.
Well, it's well known that, not just what you developed, but I worked for a large animal vet off and on in high school, and when winter was coming up, they'd say, now put them on this mineral mix so you don't lose cattle in the cold weather. You just give them more of the minerals. I forget which ones they were, and the cows wouldn't freeze to death. What are those minerals?
Well, it'd be selenium is the primary one. And, of course, you're looking at calcium is another good one. Magnesium is another good one. And those would be the 3 big ones for livestock.
But see, vets know this because their job is actually to deliver food, beef and things to the market and not have it die, not bankrupt the industry. So that's why you get real medicine there. Theo, I asked you a question and then interrupted going to Dr. Wallach. How many people in the NBA around you, where you were about to have to retire, saw you get, almost 11 years more because of the minerals? I would think it would just sweep the entire industry.
Well, that's the problem. You can tell the story, but who control those guys are the trainers and the doctors. So, like I said, I had the best of the doctors and the best of the trainers, but they have their own way of doing things, their own mechanism in how they give supplements and who they listen to. Some of them do listen, but some of them won't take that leap of faith.
Well, what's incredible is Ted Anderson, the owner of the Genesis Network we're on, a couple years ago, we started promoting longevity. Yeah, it's good products. It was just a side issue. Okay, great. Vitamins, minerals, I knew it was true. Right. But Ted then went, and he was going to have knee surgery, went to 3 doctors, and he finally got on all the products, the OsteoFX, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the essential fatty acids, all of it, and his knee's totally better. What happened there, Dr. Wallach?
Well, actually, when you look at that, we can actually regrow cartilage. The medical system says you cannot regrow cartilage. If you have bone-to-bone arthritis, you're the perfect candidate for knee replacement, hip replacement, shoulder replacement, when in fact you can regrow cartilage. It's very simple. You give the body the right nutrition, the body will rebuild itself. We're constructed to do that. And so what I did, I took everything I learned from the veterinary industry. Where we don't have insurance, there's no incentive for a veterinarian to treat you any longer, treat your livestock any longer than he has to, because you'll figure out a way to do it yourself if he starts dragging it out and obviously he's using it for an ATM machine. Or in the human health industry, there's insurance either through the government or private, and so the medical doctors try to get every penny in your insurance policy, and they don't feel they're hurting you because insurance pays, is the way they say. This doesn't hurt the patient.
Listen, I know multiple women, I'll just leave it at that, who were not even that old and had their hair falling out. That's an epidemic now. And one of them even had a thyroid problem and began taking Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the other products at InfoWars Health, and their hair came back. I mean, Wallach, Doc, why are women's hair falling out all over the place?
Well, the thyroid gland requires all 90 essential nutrients, and medical doctors want you to believe that all you need is iodine to make your thyroid healthy. And, of course, low thyroid issues can cause loss of hair, but there's a bigger problem with gluten intolerance, which results oftentimes in low thyroid because you can't absorb nutrients when you have a gluten intolerance. And according to Mayo Clinic, a 2009 study, 30%, 100 million Americans are gluten intolerant, and this is why people are losing their hair. They're getting 14 diseases they didn't have before because they're all nutritional deficiencies, including obesity, diabetes, fibromyalgia, which they call, and lupus, which they call autoimmune diseases. It's nonsense. This is all a gluten intolerance, and then you can't absorb your nutrients, and so you wind up with all these nutritional deficiency diseases.
Absolutely. And folks, I am plugging this, and we do fund the InfoWar to defend the Second Amendment and property rights and our sovereignty, promoting things I believe in, whether it's Pro-Pure water filters that we have discounted at InfoWarsShop.com, or whether it's Come and Take It, pro-Second Amendment T-shirts. But you've never heard me promote supplements like this because I've never run into anything this incredible. And that's why Dr. Wallach and Longevity is one of the biggest companies out there in the last 15, 16 years, because they know what they're doing. They've got the researchers. They've got the products. If you want to call and you're a new customer and you want to sign up to get discounts or sign up to get free shipping or just ask any questions about the products, it's 888-789-9277, 888-789-9277, 888-789-9277. Or customer service for any of the folks that are already signed up at InfoWarsHealth.com, 888-636-9277, InfoWarsHealth.com, and there's great interviews and videos. You see what happened with Aaron Dykes. He actually followed the whole program and lost 97 pounds. It looks like a new person. I work 18 hours a day, and I've never been a pill person and a vitamin person. I do about 20% of what I should, and have just had energy increase. Unfortunately, it's made me get more aggressive. I'm going to be honest, the side effect is, it's like I'm 20 again and almost have road rage and stuff, so I'm going to be honest with people. And I'm going to come back and talk to Theo about that. What happened with him once he got on this stuff? Because I feel like I'm 20 again. Problem is, when I was 20, I didn't take anything off anybody. And I don't know how vitamins and minerals make me more aggressive. They just do. Dr. Wallach says that doesn't happen with most people, but I'm going to be honest. Well, you've seen the difference last year here on air. And then we're going to get some more testimony from Theo. But all the products from Pollen Burst Plus to Rebound, to Beyond Tangy Tangerine, to the essential fatty acids, hundreds and hundreds of products, the best seaweed proprietary blends, InfoWarsHealth.com, and all the longevity products are discounted to the lowest possible price at InfoWarsHealth.com. So take advantage of InfoWarsHealth.com.
We're on the march. The empire's on the runs. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Retired NBA multi-time All-Star Theo Ratliff is our guest. He was able to stay in the NBA 10-plus years longer, according to his testimony, and it's on record, than he would have been able to under traditional vitamins and minerals. And I wanted to raise this for you, Theo, because I'm throwing in a lot of questions. So is Doc Wallach. You've got a lot of knowledge. What do you want to impart to people in your testimony? What were the sports doctors and nutritionists giving you versus what you discovered with Dr. Wallach and longevity?
Well, a lot of the synthetic drugs, the different painkillers and the different masking agents, basically. It wasn't anything that was helping you to cure your problem. It was only helping to mask the problem and take the pain away. So you can go out there, you can play ball, but then you go and sit down, you can't walk. So that's not good. So with the product, with the glucogel and the OsteoFX and all these different natural products, is actually absorbing into your body and helping to heal your body. Like Dr. Wallach said, it's healing. It's not just creating a temporary heal. It's creating a lifetime heal. So I don't have knee issues. I don't have back issues. I don't have any of that stuff right now. Whereas most guys, when they retire, they got all kind of different problems going on because they don't have the proper nutrients going in their bodies. And now I'm having the opportunity to be in front of a lot of the retired guys because I'm one of those guys. And I'm going to make it my mission to try to explain to guys about what this product is and what it's about and how it changed my life and give my testimony to them in order to help them in their future, because it's not over with. A lot of people think, okay, just because I got to get this knee replaced and I'm on bone, that I'm going to have to live with this for the rest of my life. But it don't have to be that way. You just have to use the proper things in your body to help rebuild that cartilage and maintain that bone density. And the longevity product is the product that does that.
By the way, it's not just Dr. Wallach pioneering this and talking about it. Dr. Blaylock, who's a top retired brain surgeon, he talks about and writes about, and he's got studies that are published, many of them, and many of the terms he's developed, like excitotoxin, are now mainline terms used in the scientific community. He says so many problems are just deficiencies and they're chronic irritation and inflammation from the additives. And, we think of fancy drugs as something special, but it's almost like white bread in the 40s and 50s. White bread came out, everybody saw it as fancy. When it wasn't even bread, it was bleached poison. And, but it's high tech, it's white bread. That's almost what these drugs are like, when meanwhile, the real nutrients, it's what we eat. It's what we're designed for. That's what we really need. And the soils are so depleted that we're just not getting what we need. And that was my question for Dr. Wallach. Why did it make me feel, I was always naturally kind of an aggressive guy, angry some of the time and stuff, but not in a bad way. Why, when I take Beyond Tangy Tangerine, essential fatty acids, and things like Rebound and stuff, why does it make me bounce off the walls and have so much more energy?
Well, because your testicles, Alex, God love them, require all 90 essential nutrients to make testosterone. So if you're eating 4 to 6 eggs a day, you're taking the Alex pack twice a day because you're a big guy, you're going to produce enough testosterone to make an elephant happy. And so you don't need to do any doping here. You don't need to take testosterone patches and all that kind of stuff. You just give your body what it needs, and you'll make enough testosterone that you will be a man's man. And that's what's happening to you. You've noticed that. And this is why the Olympic athletes, we have Olympic athletes that have 4 gold medals. We have one gal, Delisha Jones. She is a woman's woman, but women like testosterone too, because that's what gives them libido. When a woman goes through menopause, she stops making not only estrogen and progesterone, but she also stops making testosterone. And so you get these aggressive women basketball players or football players or soccer players, and they have lots of testosterone because they're eating 4 to 6 eggs a day. They're taking the Alex pack twice a day, and they wind up with gold medals because they have enough testosterone for muscle strength, for energy, stamina, and the proper amount of aggression. Women, if you look at who does the killing in the animal world, it's the woman, it's the female lion. The lioness does the killing. The male just sort of lays there, looks beautiful, and the female does most of the killing. And so that's the way it is with humans, too. Women should be very aggressive, but then there's times for them to be very feminine and wear long gowns and put on their makeup, and then there's time for them to be aggressive, to save their kids. And of course, right
exactly.
now,
Women aren't supposed to be feigning and all domesticated.
No,
that's a modern affectation of control. Going back to Theo, what did you notice? Go back in the time frame of when you were breaking down, you were going to have to get out. It was about 10 years, right, that the products helped you continue. Describe what happened with your focus. I mean, was it just your body, or did you experience getting the old stamina back?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of the times, you know, before I started taking the product, if I came home from practice, it was immediately, I got to go take a nap. And, you know, just trying to stay up and read a book, different things of that nature, it was pretty much impossible without me just falling asleep while reading. But once I started taking the minerals and the rebound effects, everything just became clear. Everything it became more clear as far as when I'm reading, understanding, being able to maintain your focus. And that's what I like about it a lot, because when you're tired, you lose focus. And when you're playing in a game, the most critical time in a basketball game is the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game. And if you look at most NBA games, the teams that have that better focus and that better game plan usually win those games. And if you're tired, you're gonna lose that focus, which attributes to you losing games. And that's something that it did for me as far as on the basketball court. Like I said, as far as my personal life and being able to focus and concentrate on doing deals and being able to sit down, read prospectus and different things of that nature, which people consider boring, you know, I was able to do it and really focus in on it and help propel my entrepreneurial side at the same time.
That's right. You're involved in a whole bunch of stuff and been very successful. I mean, how much money did you total make being able to stay in the NBA 10 more years?
Well, like I said, I signed another like $40 million contract, worth of contract. So that's, like I said, I hit the lottery again, so to speak.
Well, that's just amazing. And again, the other stories we see, but I mean, Dr. Wallach and also Theo, do the sports medicine people not know about this, or are they so set that their thing is right they won't look at it, or is there an evil motive? Because I can't imagine the average doctor, I mean, they're dying young too. I mean, I just think they're ignorant, most of them.
Well, I mean, you're talking about people that's going to these high-level schools, and they're seeing patients every single day, and they did all these different studies on what creates, you know, what helps what person that has this disease and that disease. So when you're speaking of that, when you Joe Blow come off the street that never been to medical school or anything, to be able to come and tell them something that's better for their patient, 9 times out of 10, they really not going to listen.
Incredible. I think that's absolutely what's happening. Dr. Wallach, your take on that.
Okay, well, basically, in 14 years of medical school, Alex, medical doctors do not get 30 minutes of nutritional training. And so it's not a piece of their language. It's not something they recognize as being functional. In their brains, they think if you eat variety and put 4 different colors on your plate, that you're doing okay. They have no earthly idea that nutrition can help your body maintain itself. And so when you have a high-performance athlete or somebody who's doing a lot of physical work, they're looking at you down the line as a knee replacement, a hip replacement, a disc surgery in your back, a shoulder surgery. And this is what they look at. And so their whole focus is on surgery, 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 surgery. Every little school kid gets taught, I hope they still get taught, your skin goes away every 28 days and it replaces itself. But the same thing is true with your cartilage, your ligaments, your tendons, your bones, your liver, your kidneys, your heart, your lungs, your muscles, skin. Everything goes away. And if you don't have the raw materials to replace it, then you get disease. And, of course, the more high performance you are, like an athlete, as Theo pointed out, you're sweating out these nutrients, And so you actually break down faster than a librarian. For instance, there's hundreds of librarians every year who reach 100 years of age. The average lifespan of a professional athlete in America is 62. A football player, the average professional football player in America lives to be 51. With the exception of a couple of black guys in the old Negro baseball league days, there's never been a professional athlete ever lived to be 100. The people who you find living to be 100, these little old ladies living out in the swamps of Louisiana with no utilities, no education, never see a doctor, and they live to be 114. And that's because librarians, they don't have knee replacements, and they live to be 100, and they don't exercise. They sit on a chair and they work on the computer all day in an air-conditioned place. They don't sweat, and it's not because of genetics. It's because they don't need as many nutrients to maintain themselves as somebody who's a high-performance athlete like a guy like Theo.
Just amazing. And again, it's common sense that you need more minerals and vitamins. And it's common sense that if you don't get vitamin C, you get scurvy and your skin rots off. I mean, it's common sense, but it's hiding there just in plain view in front of everyone. And I can say this more than anything about the longevity products, that the more I take of them, the better I feel. I'm trying to habitualize myself like friends and family have done to take it all. But I've just never been good at that. But I can tell you the big thing is just energy. And it's just been amazing. And I hope listeners will check out InfoWarsHealth.com. There on the bottom of the site, we also have the toll-free numbers for anybody that wants to call. It's 888-636-9277. Or for new customers that want to sign up and get discounts, 888-789-9277 to call and sign up and get the free shipping deal, the auto ship, or also to sign up to be a distributor, sign up for like $10, then get other discounts, 888-789-9277. Gentlemen, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I'm sorry I rescheduled last week when I had to fly up to New York to be on CNN. And hopefully we can get Theo back sometime just to tell some NBA stories. But I'll say this in closing. Theo, a couple times when I was out in Hollywood, I got taken to parties and saw a lot of retired NBA players, some of them very famous. And I noticed that when you see them on ESPN, they're not hobbling with canes. But these are guys that weren't even that old, and all of them were kind of hobbling, and you could tell were in pain. And so what you were saying, I didn't know that. They kind of cover that up. You're on the inside of this. How many of these guys that are only 45, 50 can't even walk?
It's a lot. I mean, you wouldn't believe the numbers because a lot of guys end up retiring early because of an injury. So that injury doesn't rehabilitate themselves just because they retire. And they end up, like I said, with the knee replacements, the hip replacements, and different joint diseases. So that's why it's my mission to go and make sure I at least disseminate the information and try to get some of these guys healthy.
All right. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us, and I really appreciate it. We look forward to having you guys back on. Find out more about Rebound FX in the liquid and the powder, available at InfoWarsHealth.com. Theo and Dr. Wallach, thank you so much, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
Alex. Super job.
Thank you, sir. God bless you. Okay, again, I had those guys set up last week. We have somebody on from Longevity at least once a month. I really believe in it, and it supports the info war. We're not like the government that takes your tax money and then gives it to MSNBC or CNN, or the governments of Bahrain giving money to folks over at CNN. That's come out with Amber Lyon. All of that. We're going to open the phones up in the third hour. I'm going to be honest with you. I am so shell-shocked by this Second Amendment stuff happening and all coming true, nightmare coming true, that I was glad we had that health interview set up. Normally, I would have just canceled it again because the news is so serious. I was glad to become distracted with something I can do, like go jog or, take a vitamin drink or something and try to help people because, I mean, I am just completely freaked out. And I know you're freaked out, too. It's just that sinking feeling. It's like I told you 3 months ago. I said I got a bad feeling, and I've never had one like this. And of course, it's intellectual, too, with all the political information I had. I've been all over the map with you guys with the clips of what's coming up next. We're going to come back from break and play very important report Aaron Dykes did that's just unbelievably important. Sheriff says teachers should be armed. Second Amendment shall not be infringed. We're going to play that. But right now, before we go to break, because it ties into this sheriff saying the same thing, basically, here's Judge Head over one of the big West Texas towns, Lubbock. This is before the election, saying, look, they're going to try gun confiscation. There's going to be a 1776, and I need more deputies to get ready for this. We're not going to turn the guns in. And then suddenly there's sheriffs and police chiefs all over the country and city councils who are now moving in this direction. In fact, so many of these are coming in, I can't even keep track of them right now. And, you know, you watch this sheriff, and he starts to cry. You know, you can hear him because he realizes what he's committing to. It's the sadness. He says, I'm so sad. It's not a fear of Obama. It's very sad. Ooh. And that's the sound I feel like I should make. Just woo. Ooh. Man, they're going to take everything. The fact they're going after the guns, that means they mean business. It's time to pray. I'm going to tell you right now, because, listen, they're going to push till you resist. They want you to resist. There's no way out of this. You understand that? There's no way out. The only hope we've got is breaking the trance, breaking the spell, getting angry. Now, here's Judge Head. When we come back, I'll play the other sheriff and others that are coming out. And I was watching this clip last night, and I watched this morning of this sheriff, and you can hear him getting chills. You hear him when he's talking go, and it's not fear. It's, oh, man, because everybody knows in their gut. That's why everybody's out buying 10 million guns a month right now. But you hear the, let's go to Judge Head. Here it is.
He is going to try to hand over the sovereignty of the United States to the UN. Okay, what's going to happen when that happens? I'm thinking worst case scenario.
Right,
okay?
I understand.
Civil unrest, civil disobedience, civil war, maybe. I mean, we're not talking just a few riots here and demonstrations. We're talking Lexington, Concord, take up arms and get rid of the guy. Okay, now what's going to happen if we do that? If the public decides to do that? He's going to send in UN troops. I don't want them in Lubbock County, okay? So I'm going to stand in front of their armored personnel carriers and say, you're not coming in here. And the sheriff, I've already asked him, I said, you going to back me? He said, yeah, I'll back you. Well, I don't want a bunch of rookies back there.
All right.
True. I want trained.
Full clip is up at Infowars.com, so they're having to get ready. People say, that guy's crazy, it'll never happen. No, that's the guy who knows what's going on. That's an American right there. You either capitulate to the globalists and say, I give up, occupy us, carry out Agenda 21, or resist. My friends, you want to be conquered? You want to be run by foreign, ruthless, eugenicist-based banks who've wrecked every other country they dominate as a tool of control? Well, you're going to get what you want. Everybody else better get real aggressive. Just like I said a couple months ago when I said 1776, Part 2, we got to get politically aggressive. We got to move for secession because the federal government's been taken over. Secede to re-upload the republic, not to get rid of the republic. They're going to act like Obama is the George Washington rolled into Lincoln and is there to save us. That's how they're billing him, and now they're officially saying that. He's going to take your guns. Lincoln was a dictator. Obama can do it. That's the sales pitch. And they're trying to see if he can get away with it right now. They want to take this country over right now. This is the biggest news since 1776, what's happening right now. They're going for broke, okay? Let's go ahead and go to Aaron Dykes' special report on this. Here it is.
Aaron Dykes for Infowars.com. Now, we've already seen a big pushback against the system's gun control agenda. Now we're hearing from Rahm Emanuel that if you're not in law enforcement, if you're not a police officer, you need to shut your mouth and not weigh in on the Second Amendment.
Put the police chief and the law enforcement community front and center. Everybody else, from politician to whatever, take a back seat. Because the police chiefs have a credibility and authority and a voice on this.
First of all, we're not going to give up our First Amendment as you try to destroy the Second Amendment. We will never give up our First Amendment. We will never give up our Second Amendment. They are inalienable rights. They are not to be infringed. We're not going to be lectured to by the mayor of the murder capital of the world, Chicago, as you try to get these insane policies passed all around the country. But second of all, you haven't been listening to law enforcement who've been speaking up across the country saying we will not infringe, we will not enforce any any unconstitutional gun laws. We heard a week and a half, 2 weeks ago from the Pennsylvania police chief of the small town who's introducing a Second Amendment defense ordinance to protect and keep the Second Amendment, and saying they're going to nullify any laws which are unconstitutional and otherwise trying to infringe. We've seen Wyoming lawmakers and others trying to introduce legislation upholding the Second Amendment and reminding and sending the message back to Washington that they too will not be in part of infringing on the Second Amendment. And that's really what we need. We need people recognizing their legal jurisdiction at the state, local, and county level and saying, no, we're not going to cooperate with the feds. We will not participate in destroying our God-given and guaranteed rights. Now we're hearing from Sheriff Denny Payman of Jackson County, Kentucky. He too is saying he will not enforce federal gun grabbing laws. He's standing up for his oath. He's recognizing the fact that he is the highest law enforcement officer in his jurisdiction at the county level, and that even the feds do not have higher jurisdiction there and cannot tell him what to do.
If Obama passes this, it doesn't matter what he passes. The sheriff has more power than the federal people. They need to go back and they study that. We're a commonwealth. I can ask the federal people to leave, they have to leave. I can ask state people to leave, they have to leave.
And he's being asked by journalists how he's going to participate in confiscating guns, that dangerous task.
I said, you're never going to pull a gun from Jackson County. I can't get there quick enough to help those people. My best help to them is to let them keep their firearm. I can't do it for the other counties. I can't stand up for them, but I can't stand up for my people. And, you know, I was one of the first people to say, I think they need to arm school teachers. Not all of them, but there's somebody that needs to have a weapon there.
And it's so clear what's going on that this sheriff is saying the founding fathers will be turning over in their graves.
The Second Amendment makes that very clear, and our forefathers made that very clear. Otherwise, they would have been so high on the amendment, it would have been down the list someplace. To me, I would be ashamed if one of them was in this room right now and having to listen to what we're having to talk about. I would be ashamed to have them sit here and listen to all the people that have given their lives for this right for us. And we just give it up so flippantly just because somebody says so.
First of all, you shouldn't want to participate in destroying the things that make this country great. Our country was different. That's why the Bill of Rights and the Constitution gave us the, quote, 5,000-year leap. Second of all, this whole time...
All right, that full report is up at Infowars.com. Third hour coming up.
Now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
We are now into hour number 3. I am calling for the states. I'm calling for members of Congress, everybody to circulate their own bill of particulars dealing with the crimes of this administration and impeachable offenses. We need to issue a petition for the executive wannabe dictator to be impeached. Let's not talk about starting impeachment proceedings. We need to list the bill of impeachment. That's what we'll call it at Infowars.com with our points, in case people don't know all the stuff this president's done. I was sitting here thinking during the last few hours, during the breaks, about all the different things that Obama has done that are completely unconstitutional. The secret orders on cybersecurity and telling Congress they can't see them, saying our troops are under UN control and that Congress has no authority over that. Now saying he'll sign executive orders on guns, lying to Congress, fast and furious, Congress not doing anything about it. And I know Congress is bad, but it's their job to impeach this guy. Do it. Start it now. This is super creepy. You've got an armed-to-the-teeth, crazy government working for a bunch of foreign banks, training at all these military drills to kill role players in John Deere hats and overalls. And they practice killing grandpa, folks. I've been to the drills. I've shot video. You've seen them. Troops have called in. Yeah, no, we practice killing rural people. They practice killing my granddaddy. They practice killing old men on tractors. They know who isn't going to go along with this. There's not many Americans left, I guess. Go wipe out old country people. Bunch of sick traitors, man. I cannot believe we've gotten this low in this country. And I mean, is there nothing we won't put up with? Secret arrest, warrantless wiretapping, torture, a government running al-Qaeda. Oh, that's another thing. I want to start impeachment over the Libya and Syria attacks when Congress said don't do it and the president did it. And then impeachment for our government giving weapons to al-Qaeda. That's the big one. Now, arming al-Qaeda. Arming al-Qaeda. Let's go. Let's go. And look, I don't like to get up here and say 1776 Part 2, states secede to get rid of the federal government and then re-upload it. A novel approach to what's constitutional. I've had constitutional scholars on who agree with my analysis. I told you months ago, people were like, why are you calling for his impeachment now? Why are you calling for 1776? Because they were saying what they were going to do. And then right on time, the enabling crisis comes, and it smells to high heaven. So when we come back, we're going to be taking your phone calls here today, specifically on what do you think he should be impeached for? Or do you disagree with me? And there's so many things that are impeachable. I'm thinking of new ones every few minutes. So you call in with what we should call it. I mean, the Bill of Particulars, the Bill of Impeachment for Barack Hussein Obama. That's what it's called. Starts in the House. They vote to then have a trial in the Senate. I mean, it's time to go after Obama. He's their front man. He's their puppet. But he's the usurper. And look, I'm not some macho guy looking for trouble. But I'm not going to be a slave. And I know what's going on. 800-259-9231 on this issue of treason, the executive orders. And they're playing this game of, yeah, I can do an executive order. I can't take everything with an executive order, but I can take some stuff. You can't take anything. The Congress can't even pass a law to take our guns, folks, because it is unalienable. You cannot put a lien on it. Inalienable. The Bill of Rights points out what's already there organically. I am not your slave. You are not getting my guns. And it's not the obsession over the guns. Okay? My guns aren't even locked and loaded except for handguns and stuff for self-defense. It's the bellwether, the canary in the coal mine.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
What we are looking at is good and evil, right and wrong. The New World Order.
Well, all of you claimed you'd fight back if they came to confiscate the guns. Obama thinks you're weak, and he thinks you're going to turn them in. Coming to you from the front lines of the info war, and we're trying to keep it an info war. Bloomberg is in the news. Those articles are up at Infowars.com saying, defy Congress, just take the guns. The legislature has passed in the Senate an outright assault weapons confiscation. Here's the Biden headline, Joe Biden, White House eyeing 19 executive actions on guns. Executive orders. White House to announce the executive orders tomorrow. They are to include assault weapons ban of magazines that hold more than 7 rounds. It's the Chicago gun ban. It's the Illinois gun ban. It's the universal background checks and limits on the number of bullets magazines can hold. And that's retroactive. They're saying you have to come in and register all your guns because you're not allowed now to sell it to your neighbor ever, according to sources familiar with the White House or people working for the White House. Iowa lawmaker calls for retroactive gun ban, house-to-house gun confiscation of all semi-autos. CBS News, New York Assembly Speaker Silver, we are going to ban assault weapons, all semi-autos to be turned in. And the bill has passed the Senate. It's in the legislative session in the House. This is just unprecedented. And it says you come in and register them, and we can take them on the spot if we want. That's what Cuomo called for 2.5 weeks ago, remember? I mean, they got a plan. We know what it is. And then they'll get most of the guns in this push. Then there'll be more mass shootings, and they'll say, that's it, just turn them in. And then they know there'll be resistance. Let me explain what's happening to everybody here, okay? The toll-free number to join us on air is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231, and we will get you up and on the air today. A foreign criminal banking mafia took over the United States with the Federal Reserve with the beachhead in 1913. They used our energy, our power, our taxes to dominate most of the world and set up a world government. It's European banks. That's why we're merging with the EU, basically. Those very same banks funded Lenin to get him into power, to get rid of that national sovereignty the Russians had. That's now been declassified. The same banks put Mao in to kill over 60 million people. Some estimates are 80+ mil. And to bring in that tyranny, that's a deal. They set up tyrannies all over the world. They put Muslim extremists in Libya and Syria. They're bad. Their fruits are bad. They're really vicious. The people running our government have put real al-Qaeda in with al-Qaeda flags, al-Qaeda brigades, black uniforms with al-Qaeda patches. They are cutting Christians' heads off on camera. The news thinks it's great. They are making fathers suicide bomb or they kill their whole families. They are shooting at passenger airliners and blowing them up. And our media is like, good. Al-Qaeda is good. Back of the newspaper, Al-Qaeda's doing a great job attacking Assad, who didn't do anything to anybody. That's how bold and how evil they are, okay? They think you're so dumb, the people running our country run Al-Qaeda. And that's mainstream news. And even Glenn Beck admits that now, but calls me a traitor for saying our government runs Al-Qaeda all these years. Why don't I get an apology? This isn't our government. And they have stolen 1.5 quadrillion in fake derivative money, and they've signed us onto it, and it's hundreds of times what we could ever pay back. It's not our debt. Our real debt's about 16 trillion. And they use that to control us and tell us how we're debtors all day, from the most wealthy nation in the world to the biggest debtor nation in the world in 50 years. From the highest test scores to the lowest. From the lowest cancer rate to the highest. We are a cursed, overtaken nation of debt slaves. They're now starting forced inoculations all over the country of school children outside of parental consent, abortions without parental consent. They just do what they want. And it's a felony every time they do it. No one will enforce. No attorney general will go after them. No county attorney, no city attorney. No one will stand up. Now we're starting to see state reps and federal, mainly people in Texas, Kentucky, Wyoming, places like that, places that the television demonizes, places the occupier collaborators demonize. They're starting to say, look, this is going to go 1776. We're going to nullify taking guns. Don't come in the state and do this. Don't do this. Don't. Because everybody knows when they come for the guns, they're super bold, and they're going to drop the hammer on 100 different fronts. The globalists are all going to go to prison unless they go for it all. The Chicago Mafia, Emanuel, the D.C. Mafia, the New York Mafia, Bloomberg. They are the government mafia. They are the federal family. That's what Janet calls them in letters. You are the federal family. The federal cancer. The federal family is taking over. The federal family is going to double your power prices. The federal family is going to triple your... They've done it. They do the same thing in every other country. Okay? They have an IMF World Bank 112-point plan. They're going to implement it. All of it. Right down the middle. And when you go bankrupt, they're going to say, we got food stamps for you. We got full steps. We got Social Security. They want you broke. And then they're going to have the conservatives say, make all these people hundreds of millions on welfare work. Now you're going to be in government work brigades. Now you're going to be government security brigades. This is the takeover. This is the collectivization. That's why they're going after farmers. That's why they're going after ranchers. That's why they're going after anybody that's self-sufficient. That's why they outlawed 2 years ago cash and secondhand sales in Louisiana. And they're actually putting people in jail for using cash. That's why they're surveilling us. That's why they're opening the borders. That's why they're getting ready to legalize all the illegal aliens, because they're going to break this country. And they know you're not going to turn your guns in, and they're going to pick you off one at a time. And they know some of you are going to start fighting back, and you're going to be called terrorist on the news. And as they see patriots getting arrested, as they see police chiefs getting killed that don't play ball, as they see federal troops enter legislatures, they are going to be on the news calling us terrorists and calling Obama Abraham Lincoln Part 2. Texas threatens to arrest any feds who try enforcing new gun regs. White House readies 19 executive orders. Obama to surround himself with children to announce the new gun controls. See, it's for the children while he kills kids with the drones. Click on that top article. It's also up at Infowars.com. WOAI, TV and radio. Texas proposal, jail any federal officials trying to enforce new gun restrictions in the state. And what did the Fed say last year when the House voted unanimously to not let the TSA grab our genitals and enforce already laws on the books? They said, we'll have an armed F-16 blockade, and we will shoot down aircraft entering or flying out of your state. Bring it! Come on, Obama! You already got al-Qaeda shooting down airlines in Europe, or threatening to, and shooting them down in Middle East. Go ahead, do it, you scum. You un-American usurper, you filth. We put that article back up there? I mean, it's on. A Texas lawmaker says, I want them on right now, guys, call them. A Texas lawmaker says, everybody, it's going to be impossible in an hour. Everybody call that number right now, get them on. A Texas lawmaker says he plans to file the Firearms Protection Act, which would make any federal laws that may be passed, oh yeah, we reported on this yesterday, by Congress or imposed by presidential order, which would ban or restrict ownership of semi-automatic firearms or to limit the size of the gun magazines illegal in the state, WOAI 1200 reports. Republican Representative Steve Toth, good for him, says his measure also calls for felony charges to be filed against any federal official, how about servant, who tries to enforce the rule in the state. If a federal official comes to the state of Texas to enforce the federal executive order, they already have all the states and counties not arresting illegal aliens, and that's constitutional. Why can't we do this? See? If a federal official comes into the state of Texas to enforce the federal executive order, that person is subject to criminal prosecution. Toth told 1200 WOAI Joe Pags. Now, listen to Joe Pags. He's on in the morning. I heard Joe Pags say it's okay to pay off the police when they want payoffs last week. I couldn't believe it. Let's go back to that. Let's just go back to that article. Thank you. Toth told 1200 WOAI's Joe Pags. He says his bill would make attempting to enforce a federal gun ban in Texas punishable by a $50,000 fine up to 5 years in prison. Toth says he will file the measure after speaking with the state Republican Attorney General Greg Abbott, who has already vowed to fight any federal measures which call for restrictions on weapons possession. Toth concedes that he would welcome a legal fight over his proposals. At some point, there needs to be a showdown between the state and the federal government over the supremacy clause, he said. Darn right, I want Toth on. You know what Toth means in, what is it, Hungarian? It means death. So that's death to gun control right there. Dr. Death for the gun bill. Oh, man, ladies and gentlemen, we need to deal with this. Tell you, I got a new favorite person, this state rep. I want him on. I want him on. I want him on. We got to get on the offensive now. Oh, it's going to be horrible. Obama's going to be surrounded by little kids going, we have to protect them. Yeah, how about from government tyranny? How about from all the kids you've been drone attacking? Oh, it's for the kids. I mean, how manipulative, how evil. We need to have counter demonstrations and counter press conferences with children and say the federal government took guns out of schools and then the media advertised it as shooting zones. The blood's on your hands. The blood's on your hands. Man, I'm so glad I got in the face of Piers Morgan. I'm so glad I raised the Paul Revere alarm. I'm so glad. That's what's going to beat them, is getting hardcore, not backing off to this. 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. They're coming. They're coming. Drums, drums, drums in the deep. Now they're here. Told you I heard the drums. Now they're here. They are coming. They are coming. Your call straight ahead, straight ahead. Stay with us. Spread the word. Everybody tune in now. Key intel coming up. And I'm calling for the impeachment. I'm writing the bill of impeachment. Okay, I'm going to go to your phone calls as promised. And Paul Watson and I during the breaks are working on a bill of impeachment for Obama. So people can take our research and get it into official documents. And that is the point of this. Bill of impeachment of Obama for sedition and treason against the Republic of the United States of America. Boom, that's your headline. And then you take the Declaration of Independence and you basically rewrite it at the top. It's the same thing. Whereas we've seen a long train of abuses against the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, a president who's used his office to turn us over to NATO and UN control, that has publicly told Congress that the UN gives him orders and not the Congress, who has openly been fomenting and working with media, including foreign media, to overthrow our Second Amendment. And then you just break down the fact that it is an absolute imperative for Congress not to have all of their just powers completely usurped. That Obama has signed secret directives on cybersecurity and blocked Congress from seeing it when it is their right and their duty. I mean, I've listed a whole laundry list of this, but it's 2 or 3 paragraphs written like the Declaration of Independence. You can read Clinton's bill of impeachment. It just states what he's done. That Obama lied to Congress and lied to the people, saying he didn't want the NDAA passed when he had written it. And then said he wouldn't sign it, and then did. Lying. That's the president lying to Congress. He wrote letters to Congress saying, don't pass this, when behind the scenes he'd written letters saying, pass it. That's lying. That's perjury. Violating his oath of office on so many fronts, shutting down power plants, implementing Kyoto protocols, even though Congress 3 years ago did not pass the Kyoto greenhouse gas legislation. I mean, it's incredible. Giving selective waivers to thousands of companies that are donors to where they're not under Obamacare. I mean, the list goes on and on here. I know Watson's listening right now. He's codifying it all, and I'll work with him more when the show's over. But we're going to get this out at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com, and it is absolutely essential that you get this bill of impeachment, because that's how impeachment works. It goes through the House for a vote, and you have a trial in the Senate. And if there was any justice in this world, Obama would be impeached. We're going to list Fast and Furious and the lying to Congress about that. I mean, look. He's getting away with everything. And they're going to go for broke. And then finally, we need to state in the Declaration that we know that the criminals are moving, the usurpers, the occupiers for these corporate foreign banks are doing this because they think they can win. They think they've got enough dirt and enough blackmail and enough everything that they can get this through. And even if they can't, it gets us used to the idea of a dictator. And whereas members of the Senate have pointed out that he's becoming a king, that's right. And we kicked a king out of here in 1776, we've got to do it again. And whereas Obama is trying to block arming the schools so they can protect themselves and trying to bar the public from their ancient common law right to self-defense, he must be removed. And again, people say, well, Obama's a puppet. Yes, they've all been puppets for a long time, but this guy is the head puppet, and he's the titular head of this treason. He's moving at warp speed. And Mitt Romney supported banning guns as well. I warned you, folks, that the fix was in either way you slice it. And if you think you're just going to turn your guns in and this is all going to stop, you're gravely mistaken. There will be people that resist this. And if there isn't, they will manufacture it to call them terrorists to start the Great Purge. Homeland Security is a Soviet-style NKVD. Okay, that's what it is. That's why they popularized torture. By the way, he used to be impeached for Benghazi, lying about that, saying he didn't know. Turned out they did know. Add that to the bill of impeachment. Missiles being sent to Al-Qaeda with the Turkish ambassador. Add it to the impeachment. All of it. Your crime's out in the open. Don't you wrap a bunch of kids up there around you on the stage and say, I'm coming for your guns. Here's my executive order to see if you can get away with this. Don't you do it. They want world government. These foreign banks want unified, 80% worldwide taxes. They can't stand the mafia in Chicago and New York, that people are running down to places like Texas and other areas that have lower taxes and more freedom. They want a worldwide mafia where they're armed, you're not, and they can do whatever they want to you. Well, I got news, thugs. You're going to lose. You've miscalculated. The sleeping giant is awakening. 10 million guns are getting sold a month.
We now take you live to the Central Texas Command Center and the heart of the resistance.
The heart.
Rallying patriots worldwide. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud of Texas. We're not perfect, but you notice we're national news everywhere. Texas has the bill to arrest feds down here trying to take our guns. Texas tried to get the bill passed, got killed by Perry at the top, unanimously in the House, passed it to arrest the TSA. Texas just introduced the legislation, and our state representatives calling for the impeachment of Barack Obama for high crimes and misdemeanors. It's happening. And I come to you from the capital of Texas, Austin. I come to you from the heart of the resistance. We are here. We are standing to the end. This is only the beginning, ladies and gentlemen. This is only the beginning. And again, if we give the guns up, it's over. If you give the guns up, they're going to take everything. They will steal everything. They will shut the economy down. That is the Agenda 21 plan. These are hardcore criminals in government. And I know a lot of congressmen and women listen to this show in Tennessee and Virginia, you name it. I know. I've talked to them off air. I've had them on as guests, a lot of them. And they know. They privately completely agree with me. Well, it's now time to go public. Time to get up there on the floor of the House and go, you are a crook, Obama. Okay, we either get in their face hardcore right now, or they're going to bring in tyranny, martial law. They're going to hunt us down. They are going to one by one come after us. And then if we resist to defend ourselves, we're going to be called terrorists. We have got to hit them while we still have the internet and we still have talk radio with everything we've got and stop playing Mr. Nicey Pants. Paul Revere rode through saying, to arms, the redcoats are coming. All I did was go on CNN and say, you're on notice. You know this is going to start 1776 part 2 if you try this. You redcoat. He's a redcoat. A guy fleeing justice in England. I mean, give me a pirate. I'm here where my family's been for 300 plus years in the United States. I'm here in Texas where we've been since 1830 or even before. I'm here. I'm here. I'm in a corner. I've got a right to self-defense. I'm not your slave. I declare that natural right before God in the universe. And it's time you declare it as well. By the way, the Bundesbank's pulling their gold out of the U.S. How many countries? It's more than 20 countries in the last year, since early 2012, that have pulled their gold out of the U.S. That article's up at Infowars.com. German Bundesbank to repatriate gold from New York Fed. Trust in central banks by other central banks is ending. That's a mainstream media headline by the New York Fed. The trust is over. That's why they want the guns. These people are crooks. They should all be in jail like Bernie Madoff. You put Ken Lay and Bernie Madoff in jail. You put all these banksters, these Federal Reserve top board members, a lot of their own board members have been saying it's tyranny. Even board members have been saying what's happening is wrong because they realize they're going to bring the whole thing down. You know, they've had the Dallas Fed head, the Kansas City Fed head, and others come out and say what the Fed's doing is criminal. Their own people are saying it's criminal publicly because it's criminal. And listen, I'm not asking, I'm commanding police and military as a sovereign citizen. I'm just like you have citizens arrest, I'm giving you a citizen's order to another citizen. You know why I can give you that order? You swore before God and man to protect and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic, and our Constitution is in shreds right now. They're trying to burn what's left of it. And if you won't hit the streets right now aggressively, I don't care what you've got to do. I'm thinking about putting bullhorns on the top of my car and driving around at 2 a.m. in neighborhoods bullhorning. And when the cops pull up with their lights on and jump out and freak out, I'm going to go, what am I supposed to do? I'm just Paul Revere driving through the night saying, you're in danger. Our government's been taken over by foreign powers. And see, that's a psyop of truth. People only pay attention because they've never been warned in their sleep. I'm serious. I may put bullhorns on my truck tonight and drive around announcing to people that the redcoats are coming. Not saying to arms, to info arms, because people will wake up. See, they're in a comfort zone. They've got a normalcy bias. They've got a Stockholm syndrome, a learned helplessness to put up with anything. I wouldn't ask you to do that. I am intending soon to start doing midnight rides. I'm going to start driving through neighborhoods, and if the cops arrest me, so be it. Because I'm going to start telling people, get up. When they come out, I'm going to get out with the bullhorn at night and say, Paul Revere rode to warn you what was happening. Our country's been taken over by foreign banks. And they're like, what are you doing, crazy man? I'm crazy? You think you're going to be free watching ESPN all day? You think you're going to be free not knowing about politics, not being involved? No, you're going to be overrun and made a slave if you don't defend your freedom. Thomas Jefferson. That's how domesticated and sick the public is, that they see it weird when you hang a banner on the highway about tyranny, or when you call into radio and get upset. I was on the Young Turks on Al Gore's foreign-owned TV thing last night, and they're going, you need mental help. You know, you need to go, yeah, I need mental help, don't I? I need mental help because I know they're putting cancer viruses in the vaccines. The top friend of the royal family, it's now being confirmed doing satanic rituals with little kids, and it's not even a news item that why was this guy given total access to the royal family? And it just confirms everything I already know. These are a bunch of child-molesting devil worshippers that run the New World Order. They're evil. And people are like, that sounds crazy, really, then you don't know history. Have you studied any historical groups? Scum always gets in control. That's why our forebears were this multi-thousand-year leap forward, pointing out the evil and corruption of humankind, especially at the top, and systems to tie that down and control it. And now those final bulwarks are under absolute Alamo-level assault right now. I mean, this is it, okay? This is a full-on assault. I know we've got eugenicist criminals running things. I've read countless books. They wrote how they're poisoning our food and water. They think you're so dumb. They write confessions how they're killing us. And they know using psychology how to hide it in plain view. Every cop, every military person, I command you to follow your oath and to speak out and to resist this tyranny. I command you who have taken oaths to protect and defend to speak out about what's happening. I command the union heads, the politicians, all of the people that aren't pure evil. You better decide what side you're on right now. And I command you, in the name of the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence, not just the military and the police, but the public who has sat there on your hind ends, I command you, if you claim you're good and you serve justice, I command you, in the name of the Republic, to activate now and to stand up and to get in a posture of total resistance. But you think I came out and called for a second American Revolution a few months ago because I was playing games? I know what's happening. I know what's going on. I know what's happening. Listen, if we just had regular old corrupt groups in who were really misguided and all this stuff, I would not be this freaked out. Because I would say politically we can fix it down the road. You're not going to fix any of this. The pendulum isn't going to swing back. The pendulum already swung back. They know you hate them. They know you don't trust them. They didn't really elect Obama. It's all a fraud. And they're coming for everybody. They want a hot takeover. And if you don't know what a hot takeover is, look at what the Soviets did in the Ukraine and Czechoslovakia. Look at what Hitler did in Poland. If you don't know what a hot takeover is, it means absolute war, guaranteed. And the globalists want the police to be killed. That's part of the plan. Then they'll bring their scum in as the second wave. Let me tell you, I can see it in their eyes. The globalists are excited now. They're engaged. They're confident. And you know why they're confident? They've been on the defensive. They're confident now because they're going operational. They've already jumped out of the back of the plane, folks. They're already coming in. They already pulled the trigger. It's on. It's on. It is on. It is on. It is on. False flags, all of it. It is on. It is on. It is on. You understand? These people put in the newspaper, they run Al-Qaeda. And they saw the public suck their thumb. They went, okay, we're going to take your guns now. We're going to give your kids shots without telling you. We're going to take your 12-year-old, give them an abortion without telling you. We're going to raise your taxes. They're already saying they're going to raise the taxes again. They're already raising the payroll taxes on the entire population that works. Oh, man, they're sick. Let's go to the calls. Michelle, that's Michael in Canada. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, listen, Alex. First of all, I want to say a couple of things about your appearances on some mainstream media lately. And number one is I cannot believe what a slimeball coward that Piers Morgan is. To drag out the victims' families, to hide behind, to throw rocks at you from, what an act of absolute cowardice, betraying their very nature. Next thing I want to say about it is you have no idea still yet just what effect you are having with your anger on the mainstream media. It is awakening an anger that's been there the whole time. You are rousing people, giving them the permission themselves to get angry, and it's going to unleash the reaction and the response needed at this time.
Well, you know, I just said, God, whatever you want me to do on the air, do it. And I just got mad at that guy, and that's what I did. And it's up to you guys what happens out of all this. I mean, I am right up on the tip of the spear. I need everybody's prayers, but whatever happens, I'm not in fear. I'm only in fear that I won't work hard enough. I won't do a good enough job. We've got to get America out of the trance. America is in a ninnying trance. The average American would come out and shoot Paul Revere today. Okay, we've got to get out of this trance, this learned helplessness. God bless you, Michael. Let's go ahead and talk to, who's up next here? Let's go ahead and talk to Mark in Kansas. Mark in Kansas, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, Alex, thanks for taking the call. Just want to first off say that my family prays for your family every day, and we appreciate everything you do. The local prostitute media broke a story today that Walmart is offering to employ any veteran that wants a job here on the local media. And I just want to call attention to that. I hope that our veterans don't fall for this McDonald's trinket in the Happy Meal bauble that they're going to hang out there in front of them and fall for that crap.
Yeah, Walmart shouldn't have sold the slave goods all these years and been used to deindustrialize our country, and Walmart shouldn't have promoted NAFTA and GATT. But no, yeah, exactly. After they've domesticated you now, and we're down here in the pit, it's kind of like telling us rub the lotion on our skin. And they just want a good skin when they skin us.
Better way to surveil and keep a thumb on our veterans than to try and bring them into the fold for 29 hours a week so that they don't have to pay the Obamacare tax on them anyway. That being said, you know, I hope our military and our veterans understand what that's all about. The other thing is I just implore that your listeners do anything that they can with their state legislatures to try and get them to abolish.
Everyone should be driving to their state house now, whether it's in session or not, and running up and down the halls, getting in everybody's faces. Everybody should be doing banner hangs. Everyone should be spending hours a day fighting, okay? I mean, and again, just get aggressive, get the buzz going, wake up America, and just keep pointing out criminals run Washington. They're not misguided liberals. These are horrible authoritarian mafia thugs.
Yeah, please, you know, the listeners need to understand we are financing our own enslavement. And just one thought in getting off the air, when we can no longer feed the beast is going to feed on us, and we're almost there.
Nope, that's how it always works. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And that's where it always goes to forced labor camps, because the parasites always destroy everything and then finally just say, okay, you go work in a forced labor camp for me. And then there's never even goods there, so they always invade the next country to loot them. I mean, this is what we have been overrun by absolute criminals. God bless you. Yeah, I was looking at impeachment reasons in the Constitution that we're going to add to the article that Paul Watson and I are putting together. Impeachment for high crimes and misdemeanors. Perjury of oath. Swear to uphold the Constitution, authorized for war. I mean, boom, right there. Said that the UN and NATO runs it, not Congress. Second Amendment, NATO. Birth certificate issues, NDAA. Abuse of authority, Second Amendment, Libya, Fast and Furious, TSA. Fourth Amendment, NDAA hoax. EPA versus coal, lying to Congress, abuse of executive orders to circumvent Congress and bragging about it to the press, missiles to al-Qaeda, Libya, Syria, bribery, I mean, what do you call it when he gives waivers to companies that give him campaign donations? Intimidations, Valerie Jarrett, misuse of assets, the vacations, the selective waivers for EPA versus coal, failures to supervise, Fast and Furious. So you don't even have to be consciously doing it. Just dereliction of duty. Get out of here, you scum. Okay, you got caught lying to Congress about Fast and Furious. How about you killed all those people in Mexico and the U.S.? You're impeached for that, along with your stinking attorney general. Fast and Furious, lying about Benghazi, missiles to al-Qaeda, lying about radiation dangers in the wake of Fukushima, and the 48 leaking nuclear power plants. Dereliction of duty goes on. Conduct unbecoming, and we go through a big list of those. Refusal to obey a lawful order. Authorization for war. Congress sent him a letter, said, you can't do this. He still did it. Said, I don't need you. He was belligerent to Congress. Oh, man. Man, they're planning something big. They're coming after the guns. I can just see when they blow up some buildings and then pose as saviors. It's going to be so sick. Well, the public's so soft, too. Mark in Oregon, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, Brother Alex.
Good. Go ahead, sir. Welcome.
Alex, I've got what I think are two of the most important points that could be made at this point in time. And number one is simply that Joyce Riley is having an expose of all of the gross inconsistencies of the Sandy Hook shooting, including the big red circle around Sandy Hook on the map in the Batman movie. Today or tomorrow, I thought maybe you'd have her on and she could go over things with you.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. You know, we've done some exposés of that. We pretty much broke the Batman information before it happened. We said Batman's a trigger movie, and the media is like, why are they pointing at Batman now? Like we just randomly went and looked in Batman and found Sandy Hook. Bain mailed out, the movie producers had Bain mail out to hundreds of different media groups a map of targets, and one of them Sandy Hook, and then the other movie before it had a bunch of triggers in it. So I hear you. Look, I just haven't gone there because the general public doesn't understand why they do this stuff. It's too esoteric. Obviously, there were other shooters. Obviously, the Batman shooting. Again, that happened with the Batman film. Again, it's Batman in Colorado. He was under government funding. I give you our leader, Rahm Emanuel, our king. He says, we don't need the people to be involved in the debate. You're just scum. The police are God, and they'll decide to take the guns. Here is the Chicago Don, Rahm Emanuel, Israeli officer. Here he is.
One, it's all about criminal access. It's not about gun control. It's about criminal access to guns. That changes the debate. Two, put the police chief and the law enforcement community front and center. Everybody else, from politician to whatever, take a back seat. Because the police chiefs have a credibility and authority and a voice on this, which is why they're all for there. I do believe, as it relates to both the type of weapon being an assault weapon in this case, or the assault magazine, as Mike has, I think, strenuously focused us on message on that. Because the difference between, and I would, between a magazine that holds 10 and a magazine that holds 20 or 30 is a lot of different type of damage that's done. And those are the three things. I do think...
all right, folks, so there you go. The government has credibility. The police do. Even elected representatives, you take a back seat. Pandering to the police. These police chiefs are all basically federal minions. Almost all the big ones are. Just amazing that we've gotten to this point in this country. And it's going to get bad. But the offshore banks, they want a civil war. That's part of the plan. It's not that they don't care if you die. They want you to die in a war with the American people. It's essential to call Congress, to call your state reps, but to travel there physically. It is essential to print off news articles from Infowars.com and to physically bring them to the local radio station, the local TV station. It is essential when these articles of impeachment, this bill of impeachment, but it will be articles of impeachment. That's what we'll call it. That's the proper term. Go everywhere. It'll be up the next hour or so at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. It's essential. Let's go ahead and go to John in Texas. John, you're on the air.
Thanks for having me, Alex. How you doing?
I'm not doing too good, man. They wouldn't be doing this if they're not planning something else. They're going to probably shoot up some more schools and probably blow up some federal buildings to make themselves look like heroes.
That's true. Hey, I'm a professional dog trainer here out of Dallas, Texas, and I was in the middle of one of my sessions the other day, and there was a lady, one of my clients, she had a problem with her dog jumping on the couch, and that's a very simple thing to solve. And she kept telling me she yells at the dog, she tries to get treats to reel the dog off into the floor, and I just simply went up to the dog and did a little and just gave him a little poke, and he got off the couch. He never got back on the couch again, and she was amazed at how quickly I trained her dog. And
no, that's it. These criminals are running wild. They're trying to intimidate us with all the weapons and stuff that we paid for, and they need to be put in line.
Here's my point, Alex. This topic about our guns and the Second Amendment is not up for debate. The dog on the couch, we don't have a debate with the dog. We don't ask him to get off the couch. We are here to tell the government, do not take our guns. It's our Second Amendment. It's in law. It's in stone. We know our rights. It's not up to you. We don't belong to you. You belong to us. We pay our taxes for your salary. You got that?
I agree. Everybody should call Obama and call all their media publications and get aggressive with them. Say, look, you gangster scum, you're not going to run a New York operation here. You got that?
It's on your station. We don't need to call them. They're listening to this right now. Better believe it.
It's important to put it into action. Listen, if you're not an approved little protest group, they arrest you trying to hold a sign in front of the White House. They want to turn America into North Korea. And I want to tell everybody something. They're already shutting the economy off. They're already going to shut your power off and increase the power prices. They're already going to, listen, they just want the guns because they want to get a physical fight going with us. The New World Order has occupied America. The federal government is overrun and captured. Red alert. Ladies and gentlemen, they're going to devalue the dollar down to nothing. It's already started. Foreign countries everywhere like Germany are jerking their gold out of the Federal Reserve. Everybody knows America is run by evil. Everybody knows our government runs Al-Qaeda. And I wish that wasn't the case. But I am proud of Texas. We got state reps and federal reps fighting hard. Those articles are all up at Infowars.com. Obama's anti-Second Amendment executive orders may result in articles of impeachment. And we are putting out our own articles of impeachment. We're the people's articles of impeachment. That's what I'm going to call it. Like, where'd my cell phone go? I was just, oh, you had it with Watson out there on it. I got to finish writing this with him. German Bundesbank to repatriate gold from New York Fed. Texas congressman threatens Obama with impeachment if he uses executive orders on guns. New York State Senator gun bill passed in the middle of the night. Turns law-abiding citizens into criminals. New York Senate passes draconian gun bill. Walmart forbids new ammunition orders. I guess that's Chucky Schumer's order. By decree of the king, there are some steps that we can take that don't require legislation. I mean, it is just on. And folks, I mean, if they can take the guns, they can do anything. Man. It's going to be like a new drug war. I guess you'll get your guns from the government in the future, like you get your drugs from the government. So you'll still get your guns. It's just they can lock up whoever they want selectively. But I guess you'll buy your guns from the corrupt police now. It's so ridiculous. Oh man, I have seen this from every angle. I know exactly where it's going. Who's up next here? Let's talk to Jed in Michigan. And you disagree with impeaching our Lord and Savior Obama?
Yes, sir, I do. I don't think he should be impeached. I think he should be arrested immediately, thrown into chains, tied to a pole, whatever you want to call it.
He's a puppet, but his office is evil, and Obama does hate liberty. He is an authoritarian scum who thinks he's better than everybody. I mean, you could see him, like he said, I'm not going to act nice anymore. Now the mean Obama. When he has those little kids out there tomorrow, though, he's sure going to use them, isn't he?
Yeah, he will use every single little avenue that he can. But every time somebody talks about impeaching him, it reminds me of an example of, like, if a McDonald's employee was to give me the keys in the middle of the night and I go in there and rob the place, and then they think about there's a debate on whether or not the guy should be fired from McDonald's or not.
And by the way, Obama wants background checks to buy bullets and is going to make it illegal, all your retroactive bullets. Look at the Washington Post right here. They're announcing all the evil that's going to be announced tomorrow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Obama to unveil broad gun plan, including going after the bullets with executive orders. I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
2 days after Ron Paul gave his farewell speech, and during his farewell speech, he said that he made a comment that the Constitution has failed, and I heard you agree with him, and I love you, man, but the Constitution has not failed, okay? We, the people, have failed the Constitution. And
wait, I didn't say the Constitution's failed.
You might have to go back, because I could have swore to God.
No, I say all the time, people say the Constitution or capitalism failed. We failed. We're not following it is why things are getting so bad.
We, the people, have allowed this to happen. I mean, at every point in time in history, we could have prevented this, but we don't have, the fire under us, I guess, to do that. And, when Obama gave his little speech saying that he's not going to, don't worry, I'm not going to come get your guns, I'm sitting there saying, don't worry, you ain't got the manpower to come get our guns. All right? There's 100 million of us. What are they going to do? We don't even need guns. We could all just pick up a stone, throw it at the same time, and that's over.
It's just to order all gun owners licensed every 5 years. Bloomberg urges Obama to defy Congress. 54,000 Mexicans signed a petition to take our guns. Oh, my gosh. I mean, this is so bad. Feds delay arrest of illegal immigrant and registered sex offender working for senator until after election. They're a bunch of scum.